And welcome in, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back to Cancel This. It is a Thursday morning. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel. She is a hissle hassle sometime. Hissle hassle all the way around. Eric Johnson, sick.
What is going on?
Yeah, Scotty Gherkin's sick. Lizzie's sick.
We're in the sick room.
We're all going to stay healthy for now on. I already wiped the room down. It can happen. It's called the flu. 'Tis the season. It's happening. It can hit you at some point. You just pray that you can maneuver your way in and out. We're glad everybody's here. So we are rocking and rolling, getting things going on this Thursday morning. We'll see how the weather goes in regards to what we do for tomorrow. We'll make sure. Once again, if you didn't get the message yet, our Cancel This kickoff party at Winty's tonight has been postponed to next Thursday. When I looked at the full range forecast, the long range forecast, next week had temperatures in the highs of the 50s and lows in the 30s, which will be about 30 degrees higher than what we'll have tonight. So we'll do it next Thursday. It's still over the holiday break for most. Some people can't make it. I get it. It doesn't always work out for everybody. But we appreciate everybody hanging with us, being patient. We would love to see you next week. Get as many people as we can out there. And, of course, as always, share the show, canceltheshow.com. You can check in, see what's going on. Also, thank Lizzie Sparks, who's in charge of our sales, promotion, marketing, jumping in yesterday. You asked her to come in, and you had no idea she was sick.
No, I don't. She wasn't sick, I don't think, when she came in. But this is the sick room. Everybody that comes in this room leaves with the flu.
The first time I heard her talk, I was like, something's wrong with her voice.
Yeah, I think something.
She showed up sick, but she battled.
And I think something was brewing. You know how sometimes you're starting to lose your voice or something else is going on, but you feel fine. But when I had that weird illness like a couple weeks ago, I felt perfectly fine.
That wasn't your hangover?
I was definitely not.
I thought it was one of those typical hangovers.
I was definitely not hungover.
If you don't know Tabitha's claim to fame, when we all did morning radio together, Tabitha had so much fun the night before. She was a trooper. She didn't call in. No. She didn't show up late. No. During her break, she went and threw up in a trash can and came back and finished the damn show.
That's why I don't drink anymore.
Oh, stop the presses.
You
don't drink anymore.
You know what?
Anyway, Tabitha shot hassle. Come on
now.
Anyway, it is Thursday. It's December 22nd. We appreciate you joining us this morning. We're here till 10 o'clock Central. Live news podcast, bringing you news updates, commentary, politics, society, and cancel culture stories at their finest, all that education as well, creating original content. Basically, what's happening is all of you listeners and viewers are sharing the show and telling people. And even after we go off this live show, which is what a podcast is for, our content is there. So many people across the country and this world are starting to sample it. They're starting to watch it. They're starting to subscribe. So we ask you every day, please subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell button. Go ahead, subscribe, share the show, like our stuff, cancel this on Facebook. We're on YouTube. All you do is go to canceltheshow.com, click on where to stream, and find your streaming service. We're also getting our information and content up to go to Google, to go to Apple. We've had a big response there already. So we're grateful for you doing that. We'll be announcing initial sponsors, and we ask that you take care of those people who are taking care of us and the mission that we're doing. Those initial 10 sponsors or so, that's just to get us started. And we're grateful. Grateful. We're rocking and rolling. We're not going anywhere. I repeat, we're not going anywhere. There are some haters out there, but they can't get by without listening to every word we have. You know who you are, and we're grateful. Go ahead. Join the show. Enjoy. All opinions are welcome. As long as you're not name-calling people or trying to hurt people, all opinions are welcome. Be smart. Be educated on a topic before you speak to it, because you make us all look silly. Because when we respond to you, it's just one of those things.
That's right, Vic.
So
you tell them. Cancel this, suckers.
There's a storm that's been coming across the Midwest. We broadcast out of the St. Louis, Missouri area. National podcast, though. We've got a little weather and cold weather, a little bit of snow coming today. So we're going to be fine, though. We're going to be broadcasting live through 10 Central, and then that podcast will be there if you're picking up late. We'll let you know if we have any guests come in, efforting a few guests that we could possibly get in. And then now we jump into those topics. By the way, I visited that university yesterday with my son. That's why I was in
yes.
Nice, small little university, Greencastle, Indiana. There was people wanted to ask me we'll find out if it's a woke university. The only thing that I saw in this quiet little town of Greencastle, Indiana, in the bathrooms
Mhm.
at two spots in their main like dining hall, it just said all genders on the bathrooms. So they had bathrooms that were set up for both sexes, male and female. But there were two, where you'd walk into where you have a drinking fountain in the middle.
Yes.
You have a men's on the left and a women's on the right.
Oh, okay.
It just, so you could go to either one and
But they were
label.
separate.
They were separate bathrooms, but it just said all gender.
Correct, because you're going in the same entrance, but
No,
then
you
men
got
to the
one on
right, women to the
You
left.
got a separate bathroom on the left, a separate one on the right.
Right, right.
But you and I could walk in. If there's a line on the right, you could go to the left.
Are you okay with that?
I don't know. It was just different. It's the first time I've seen an all gender sign on a bathroom.
Well, schools these days
I haven't
have
been
to
in a high
have
school in a while.
schools
like that.
these days have to have genderless bathrooms because they will not receive their Title IX funding in this country.
Dun, dun,
That is
dun.
that is a law by the old Joe Biden.
Is it really? When did that come down?
Last year, or earlier this year, I guess.
Well, we appreciate everybody jumping in and giving us their opinion. So that's the only thing I saw. And we'll see. The weather was great. It was nice to get away from some cold area spots. And we're here today. So we're ready to get going. You can always jump in. We'll add the video link line if you want to join us video link. Or you can just jump in the comments. All comments from all sites jump in. They go to one site. Of course, we'll continue to let you know what's going on with that. Great White Mike wants to know, how about that drag show in Chesterfield last night? I have not been updated by anybody. I did not get any text messages, and I got back late from Indiana and was rocking and rolling. Do we have an update, Tabitha?
I watched the protest online, and I did hear that one person was arrested, but I don't know why. I don't know if it was a protester or someone.
Or a drag queen participant?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Or
who
somebody
was arrested.
protesting the protest?
I don't know.
Well, how did you know that somebody got
Because it was on the
arrested?
news last night. It said one person arrested, but it did not give
Okay.
any details.
But
So I don't know.
one
All I
person
know-
arrested. So do you realize how bad that is?
Well, guess who said that?
Get who?
Your former
You can say it, Fox 2.
Fox
It's
2.
fine. No.
They said one person arrested. They gave absolutely no details that I
Surprise,
saw.
surprise. Now, if you hear, did they talk about the protest?
So Bindi King said there was on the comment line, said there was one small fight outside. And I'm assuming it was a protester and an anti-protester.
Well, see, that's why you got to give the details, and you don't get the details in local news.
No, you don't.
And
I
that's
agree.
one person arrested. It's like, okay, was it a drag queen participant? Is it a
I'm
protester?
thinking not.
Is it a protester against the protest? Is it somebody who was robbing something nearby?
Well, if it was a drag queen, I hope there's video.
Come on. Because what? Sometimes I wonder if that's not done purposely.
Okay, so the person Bindi stated, and thank you for the update, Bindi King. She said the guy that was arrested, let's see here, was a counter protester.
What did I tell you?
Yes.
Even before I knew it, because the people who were going out to protest
are peaceful.
they're
good
not
people.
going out to start crap. They're going out to
That's
peaceful
right.
protest. That was all the message.
I saw a lot of familiar faces out there.
And then you would figure it would be somebody coming up to stir the pot, stir up the crap, an anti-protester. Shame on you. That's when it happens.
You are so correct.
And you know what? I'm all for protesting. I've always said that.
Everyone has
wanna
the
do it,
right
do it.
to
It's-
peacefully protest. And typically the situation is we'll be out there peacefully protesting. Usually a conservative peaceful protester gets attacked by a violent liberal or violent leftist. That's pretty much how it always goes down.
Pretty sad. Also from the message line, Great White Mike says, Fox 2 mentioned it briefly this morning. Of course, they showed video
Oh.
of a QAnon sign in the protesters.
Of course they did. Of course they did. And I saw a lot of
If
familiar.
you like liberal local media, watch it.
It's ridiculous.
If you don't, watch us.
I didn't see any Q folks out there. I mean, the people I saw, the majority of them were people that are familiar to me, and they're just your typical everyday Christian conservative.
Well, I know the editors at Fox 2. They're all liberal. And
Yes,
that's
they are.
fine. They're allowed to. I know everyone.
Absolutely.
They're all liberal. And then they'll take whatever the videographer shoots and brings back. But you have to do like 50 stories. Editors have no love. I mean, if the editors decided to strike and walk out, bye-bye. There is no news because what they do is phenomenal and they don't get any respect. Like the women I worked with were absolutely amazing, wonderful people, liberal, but very wonderful people. And if they decided to see ya,
Vic,
and they take what they get.
let's be honest here. When it comes to local news, not just Fox News, when it comes to local news, the majority of our local news stations are certainly liberal. And anytime
80% of the people inside the building.
absolutely, anytime they cover any type of conservative event or patriot event, they always have the camera on the folks wearing tank tops, toothless.
You look for the story.
That's what they're
Photographers. It's up
always
to the
looking for.
photographers.
That's what they're always looking for.
Well,
They
not
want
all
to
of them. Not all the
represent us to be
not
a
all
bunch
the
of
photographers.
hillbillies.
The photographers are trying to get everything. The decisions are made between producers.
Somewhere down the
Editors.
line, they always want to make conservative looks like a bunch of hillbillies.
Yeah. Well,
Don't say it. Don't say it. It's not true.
yeah, baby. Where's that Donald Trump? Make America great again. Okay, no, I get it.
Hey, that's us, and we have all of our teeth.
So the protest went off. An anti-protester, of course, starting a bunch of crap, got arrested, as they should. If you start crap and you start things and be places you shouldn't be, that can happen. The arrest can happen. So Bendy also says there were a lot of officers there last night. We appreciate what happened with that. We started, that's right, cancel this, started this topic at about 8 a.m., what was it, Monday morning?
Correct.
Monday morning. And then a lot of other, I guess, outlets jumped on what we were doing, and that's great. Everybody should work together.
It's always, collaboration.
Hey, I've invited all the other conservative outlets on to talk with us. I've invited them. They've invited us on. Why not co-promote? Why not share?
We're all, you know what? We're not competitors because we're all fighting for the same cause.
We really are.
And it drives me crazy when people think it's competition. Other shows aren't
People
competition.
see us as competition.
I
I've been
understand
told through
for
the grapevine,
revenue
and you've heard
reasons.
it as well.
For revenue reasons, I guess I get it. I know everyone's jealous of this beautiful studio we have.
I thought I was hoping it was our minds.
And that.
You got to have a little salt and sizzle, a little substance and sizzle. You got to have it all. It is Thursday, December 22nd. CancelTheShow.com. Share the show for all of our new listeners who are jumping in or new just this morning. We have several topics we're going to get into. Okay, I have to jump into this right now, Tabitha. I'm sorry. I just have to jump into it. I love how you find things. You do. But sometimes you go immediately from 0 to 100. Do you agree?
What if I sent you everything that I have, Vic, your head would explode. Last night I was sending you things
from Tabitha.
I was sending you things and I stopped myself. I'm like, I'm going to give you overload.
No, you're not.
Stop.
You can't. I was in the news
because
business.
there was so much stuff.
I used
that
to read
have.
7 hours a day. I get it. It's fine.
Yes.
I can.
I'm like, I'm
I
going
can
to
read a lot
blow
of
Vic's
material.
mind.
People is like, how do you read books? No, it's like I read copy all day long for 24 years. Copy. AP. Tabitha sends me a message or sends our group a message last night and says, we've got a gas shortage. So I called my friend who owns a gas station. And he said, you will, and I explained
And
to
I don't
him,
mean an overall gas shortage. I just mean individual gas stations are out of gas.
you ran to one, right?
People were sending me messages. I have not gotten gas.
All I know is it
personally.
was in St. Charles County.
There were two, actually. The quick trip on Highway K and Highway 40.
Okay.
Someone I know went there, and they said completely out of gas. They talked to somebody who worked there who said, well, not only are we out of regular gasoline now, but we're having a really hard time just getting it on a regular basis. So we didn't have that much to begin with.
Hey, by the way, Doylene says another outlet started it at 7 a.m. So she says that we were a little bit late that day, or I was late. I don't know. If somebody else did, we'll give them credit.
Absolutely.
As soon as
It's a
we came on,
collaborative effort.
But it should be a collaborative
regardless.
effort. I know a lot of people jumped on after they heard our story because they told me
Correct.
that they heard it here first. So maybe people hear it first elsewhere. The bottom line is the result was made. Regarding the gas. So you told me that. I'm like, what? A gas shortage? How the hell does that happen? Oh, one of Vic's really good friends owns gas stations. So I called him, and he wanted to join us today.
Yes.
But he gave all of his people the day off because he heads back, and he jokes about it. He's going to join us on the show, but he's headed across seas up to Palestine
Oh, okay.
tomorrow.
Excellent.
So he's working by himself. He's like, man, I couldn't have a laptop and a phone and trying to watch pumps and check out. He's like, I'm by myself. So he gave me the information. Here's what he said. His quote was, dumbass gas station owners not ordering the gas when they should is why pumps run out right now. He says the prices, while they're a little bit higher than what he'd like them to be, are still relatively decent compared to what we saw. And he says there's plenty of gasoline.
Well, there's plenty
He says there's pumps,
Yes.
as you know, there's all kinds of pumps underneath the gas station. And if it gets underneath a certain amount of gallons, and that's up to said gas station owner, it is your job to keep a track of that and order the gas when you need it. He says those are owners who are letting it get way down too low and then not expecting a big rush or people coming in and then getting caught with their pants down.
And I will not disagree with that. However, the reason why all of these gas stations were out of gas is a combination of what you're saying. According to Quick Trip, this particular Quick Trip, and I don't know that I wasn't there. I didn't do the question asking, but according to them, they have a tough time getting gas anyway. She said, I wasn't there. That's what was told to me. But, if they're already having a tough time.
A gas station owner told you it's tough to get gas?
Not me. They told the person who told me.
Was it the owner or a person who works there?
It was a person who works there.
Okay.
And they said they're having a tough time getting gas anyway. So they're already kind of on the edge. And then when you have a big winter storm coming through and you have that extra push where everyone's going out and getting gas so that they're not stranded, so that their gas tank doesn't freeze, it just takes that to make gas stations run out of gas. And I'll tell you what, it's not just St. Charles County. There were people who messaged me from Alton, Illinois, Godfrey, Illinois, Granite City, St. Charles County, South County. There are gas stations all across the area completely out of gas.
And my friend,
yes,
H, I'll call him H, he says that's the gas station owner. He says they don't know. It's the owner. It's the specific owners. He says he's never run out of gas because he's always prepared. When your gas level gets to a certain point. And he's like, and by the way, he's like, they're messing up their pumps. He's like, because just like you've heard in a car, you don't want to let your gas gauge get all the way down over and over and over again because it can mess with the tank. Same thing with the gas station owners. He said that you must be responsible and order gas and keep them full.
Sure.
And not let them get all the way down because number one, it can mess with the pumps. Number two, it messes with supply. And then you get hit.
Well, several Quick Trips specifically were out of gas across the region. So maybe at some point we need to reach out to Quick Trip and say, okay, what's going on with Quick Trip? Why do you have less supply than maybe some other places? But there's a ZX gas station, which by the way is my favorite gas station, and off of Technology in St. Charles County. And they had one pump open and that was it. They said they were almost out of gas. They had one pump open. And they said they had nothing left. And there were other people who messaged me all day, like I said, all across the area. As a matter of fact, somebody in Godfrey told me that the line to get gas was 2 miles long. People trying to fill out.
Stop it.
I am serious, Vic.
Wait, in Godfrey, Illinois?
In Godfrey, Illinois.
Okay. Well, maybe
this is a very serious storm coming through. And people, not only that, but there's a combination of things going on.
I hope
this isn't your average day. This is not your average day. It's not like
I hope it's a storm coming through.
It's not as if this is a regular day and there's nothing going on and gas stations are running out of gas. That would be very odd. But this is a combination
bread, eggs, milk. Oh my God.
Exactly. And most stores are out of bread as well.
1 to 4 inches throughout the St. Louis metro area is what
Correct.
we have been told.
But the snow's not the factor.
The wind after to make it blizzard-like. Snow's supposed to be done by 6
That's not even the
p.m.
bigger factor. The biggest factor is the negative 30 below temperatures in the wind chill. That's the big factor. You get hypothermia in 10 minutes.
The reason
in that
we
weather.
postponed the party tonight, which is next Thursday, is because of driving conditions with wind blizzard conditions. Once the snow is fallen and down and it's supposed to be done before our party was even supposed to begin, then the wind is supposed to be there, making it visibility of a quarter mile or less. That's why we postponed the party. When it comes to gas, H, who is my friend, who's owned it and it's been in his family for a long time, said, don't worry. He's like, if you're going to a certain pump, that's because somebody didn't order it. There's not gas shortage.
There's no one's saying there's a gas shortage.
He says it's a brain power shortage in keeping the stations up. And if you're Quick Trip and somebody fell asleep at the wheel and they didn't order what they should have, and you show up and there's no gas, It's not a national emergency. It's a
I think
ownership emergency.
H, in all respect, missed the point of the whole conversation.
Which point?
The point isn't that there's not a national gas shortage. I don't think anyone believes there is. I think the point is, and my point with the whole situation is that we have very serious weather conditions coming up over the next 3 to 4 days. When you have negative
Oh, yeah. We were talking.
wind chills,
Yeah.
negative 30-degree wind chills, plus Christmas travelers, everybody all at once is out trying to get gas. And that's going to make a tough situation in any region, not just here in St. Louis.
If you're an owner of a
you
shop,
need to
a
be
store,
extra
product
prepared.
supply,
Right.
it falls back on the owner. There's not a gas. People should not
There's
be worried
not a gas shortage, but people should
about
be worried.
any
People
of that.
should be worried because there's going to be a lot of people who didn't get gas last night who are going to try to get gas today, and they may have a tough time finding it. So if you need gasoline, you better get out and get it.
Oh, my God. This, Tabitha.
Vic,
Oh, my God. You're going to.
there's like 25
They're
gas
running
stations.
out of bread and milk and eggs at the stores. You better get there.
There are like 25 gas
I get it,
stations in the
but-
region who have no gas. If you're an elderly person and the wind chill is going to be 30 below zero and you need to go get gas, you're going to be in big trouble. People need to get their gas and be done with it.
Well, I wanted to make you happier, but I can't because unfortunately, yeah, if you're dealing with gas issues with not being able to find it or if pumps are going out, let us know. We'll get that message out as well. Another big topic we want to jump into is Drew Collins says doomsday. Tabitha.
I know. I'm not being doomsday. I don't
To
want
me,
people
it sounds
to
a little
die.
bit that way. You're my friend, and I know
It is,
you.
Vic.
You
We're
have a
gonna
heart.
fight. It's not doomsday. what it is. Even Glenn Zimmerman gave the same warning.
He's a weathercaster.
Even Glenn gave the
There's-
same warning.
They don't get their checks unless they make you
And
afraid.
Glenn said people need to take this storm seriously and you need to be
Do
prepared.
you know that there's a... Well, yeah, you have to say that,
and
Tabitha.
getting gasoline is part of being prepared.
I never heard Glenn say, go get your gasoline.
I'm going to call him
Get your
when this show is
gasoline.
over.
Hey, do you know that there's a class on speaking drama for weathercasters?
Is there really?
No, I was messing with you.
I'm like, I need to take that class.
There's also a class on how to raise money, and Mr. Zelensky gets an A for it. The Ukrainian president, he was in D.C. yesterday, writing or collecting big fat checks. How much more money did he get again yesterday? Was it $46 billion, Tabitha? Did the United States give him another $46 billion?
Not yet. They so far they approved. I think it was like 1.7 billion. Some people
Our
say
tax
1.3.
dollars.
But he will eventually get it. But the bigger picture here isn't that. The bigger picture, and it's going to be a really big deal to Russia, is that we're giving them a Patriot missile defense system, and that's going to be the start of World War III right there.
Okay.
We don't give those out easily, and now we're giving one to Ukraine.
I'm not going to say doomsday Tabitha on this. That concerns me. It really does. When you and I talk and do show prep, and I'm like, oh my God, whatever Zelensky wants, Zelensky gets. Now, we're giving the world all kinds of money, all kinds. If you actually go down the list of all the countries and the money that we're giving while we crumble before your eyes, and then you look at what Zelensky's been able to get, where there's smoke, there's fire. Something's going on. Okay, this is the never-ending war. It's never going to end. And Zelensky comes. I have no problem him showing up in his fatigues. It's all part of his...
I know. Doesn't the guy own a suit, for God's sakes?
Of course he owns a suit.
It's all
That's
propaganda.
propaganda.
It's
It's
all
propaganda.
for show. It's theater.
It's propaganda. It's theater. I'm the Time Man of the Year. Look at me. I'm fighting Mr. Putin. He's not on the streets fighting. He's not fighting.
No, of course he's not.
If you haven't learned yet, I'm going to tell you right now, be wary of media. Be wary of what you see. We already showed you video when this war first started, body bags behind reporters and bodies moving. Oh, wait a second. You see a body get up and like brush itself off, lay back down and put the cover back over its head. That's legitimate crap that's happening.
Propaganda.
But anyway, that's the joke. The non-joke here is the fact of how much money our country continues to give. And I don't hear any Democratic leaders fighting or opposing Biden on this. Let me know if they are. Let's talk about it. Look at the amount. Oh, we got plenty of money. We're America. It's an endless tab. We've got money trees in D.C. We just print the money and send it. You better start looking. We've given over $1 trillion right now to over $1 trillion to Ukraine on a war with no end, on a war that's not going to end, with no strategic positive outcome for the United States, unless I'm missing something, Tabitha.
The only positive outcome for the United States that could ever potentially come from this war.
Ever potentially.
And that depends on whether you're looking at it from a citizen's viewpoint or a government viewpoint, because we're so divided right now between the citizens and the government. The government's viewpoint is they want to do anything they can to keep NATO in the lead and to keep BRICS behind and to keep Russia behind. Because, NATO was created to keep Russia in place, to keep Russia from expanding.
What year did that take place?
I don't know. I think in the 90s, maybe. I don't know. I have to go back and look. But whenever they created NATO, that was for nothing other than to suppress Russia. And Russia, of course, hates NATO. They're encroaching on his country. That was part of his reason for this operation in Ukraine. But I'll tell you what, I just read this statement the other day. Sergei Shoigu, who is a Russian defense minister, he stated...
Could you say his name again?
I will try. Sergei Shoigu.
Shoigu.
Yeah, he is the Russian defense minister. And what he stated, this was a couple weeks ago, he said that 27 countries have already given Ukraine $97 billion. $97 billion. And since that time, several other countries have given him more billions, and that pushed us up over the trillion mark.
Yeah, something's going on.
And here's there is something going on. You know what that something going on is and what this war is really about? And it is a war. We are already at war with Russia, and people haven't accepted that yet. But when we're sending Patriot missile defense systems to Ukraine, we are in a war with Russia that we're going to have to pay for that. Something's going to happen because we're doing this. In Ukraine, what we are doing, what our government is trying to do, they're trying to protect the biolabs. They're trying to protect
that biolabs.
Burisma. They're trying to protect Joe Biden, the big guy, and his son's involvement in Burisma. They're trying to protect the government's involvement in sex trafficking in Ukraine. There's so much going on over there that think about this. They elected Zelensky, a comedian. He is a puppet leader. They elected him. Anyone that opposed him running for president was imprisoned. So he was elected their leader. He's a puppet leader, and they have done nothing but launder money for Europe this entire time. And that's what this war is all about.
And America, here's the problem with it is you sold me years ago, Tabitha, because I saw what I saw being in local news and seeing how national stories are done and how we can't get information. We can't get full stories. You're not allowed to tell the full story. Then when you have the situation pop up, you better believe something's going on. It's number one, the first thing that our government, that national, international media do, they pull on heartstrings.
Yes.
It's all about emotion.
Pelosi did it yesterday. All about the kids.
You try, because one of the greatest things about human beings that we're given by God is our heart, our love, and wanting to do the right thing. That love just doesn't poof come out of air. That is a human quality. And for the most part, people are taught that. However, you can play upon that emotion, especially Americans. Play upon that, get what you need, say what you need to say, and then, have the knife in the hand behind the back and take care of business. If you don't think, and then of course it's also the messaging with media. Oh, we've got plenty of money. Look how good our lives are. And all while you're not really seeing, it's all, oh yeah, I've heard that. I believe that. My life's somewhat comfortable. Yeah, it's all right. And then you continue to give and give and give and give and give, and then you don't have anything left. And you're like, oh, we're done. If you haven't noticed yet, yes, we've got some good things in this country, but it's not the same as it was. Things are changing. And we're not trying to come here and say, oh my God, the sky is falling, but in some senses, it is.
The sky is falling,
It is
falling.
You look at the dollar, as we've talked about in the show, and we'll continue about. You look at the world crises going on. You look at leadership that we have in D.C. Even the most honest Democrat will look at you and go, yeah, we've got some issues. Honest. Because there's nothing great going on, nothing good going on, nothing average going on with the current administration that we have. And I've always been fair. I've always talked to people. Give the president a chance. And he blew that on day one when he when he went crazy with his pen and
Yes.
stopped a whole bunch of good things going on, starting with our pipeline. So with that being said, and there's a whole bunch of things that go on to that, be careful, and you need to educate yourselves, and that's what we try to do. You may not think the world news affects you, and it does, and that's why Tabitha's jumped into it, and you're going to get the stories before they come here on Cancel This. Tabitha's into it all the time. There is something going on with Zelensky. I'm not trying to be, I'm the big, bad, mean guy. Something's going on.
Well, he's
there.
he's a paid actor.
He is an actor.
He's a paid actor, and what his role
and
is
he's
here,
terrific in front of a camera.
That he is, and and he gets people's heartstrings, like you said. That's part of the propaganda. And he travels. All he's doing, he's like, think of him as like a medical device salesperson. He's traveling to all of these different European countries, trying to beg for money. And he does all of these video presentations, and he's an actor. He's very good at it. And he's going around begging for money. And what's happening is, and not just money, but of course weapons, because weapons equal money. We are sending over $1 trillion right now at this point in heavy weapons, artillery, cash over to Ukraine. We already know, our government has already told us there's no tracking system for what's being sent to Ukraine.
Our Republicans who are ready to take over the House say that's going to be one of the first things that they're doing. We need to find
that's correct.
Where was this money earmarked for? There's no signs.
There's no sign, and what we already
and then Republicans
know,
start to say, "Oh, well, that money was taken. It was laundered through Ukraine and back for Democratic purposes for the midterms."
And that's exactly correct, and that is exactly what they're claiming, and they're going to try to prove it. As a matter of fact, they're already putting a committee together to try to track down where all of this money, where all of these heavy weapons are going. And we already know, this is a fact. It's not me guessing. They're ending up on the black market. And you know who's buying them? Terrorists.
Of course they are.
Terrorists are buying our U.S.-made weapons on the black market, and they are being scattered all around the world. And at some point, they are going to be used against us. And you cannot tell me that they did not do this on purpose.
It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, and people should wonder. Now, our Christmas holiday season is coming up. The New Year's is coming up. We like to have fun. We like to enjoy time with family. We like to keep our hearts where they should be, but you need to be questioned. But I think it's a problem where what can you do? What can you really do? I mean, we can talk a big game, but Americans, there's not much you can do right now. We already know our elections are decided by a couple states and a couple counties.
Correct. Voting is just the illusion of choice.
But so then it's like, okay, then as Americans, because I talked with a female millennial who I used to work with, like, what are we going to do? And she made a good point. You can talk up a storm and everything, unless you go to a couple counties in this country and start hitting those counties, which are determining the elections. It's not the whole country. You know that, Tabitha. And then you have maybe different leadership in the White House. Maybe.
We're never here's the issue, Vic, is we had a big win with Trump. He was the foot in the door that was supposed to open that door wider for other Republican presidents down the line. But we all knew that they had already cheated. They just didn't cheat enough. They underestimated the power of the majority. We came up, we were very strong in voting, and we did manage to overcome their cheating. But now they've learned a lesson. They learned a lesson. They said this will never happen to us again. And what this is in 2020, now this is my opinion, is they stage a coup. And that coup by the Democrat Party was the election fraud that we saw and all of the efforts we saw into keeping conservatives off social media platforms, to keep conservative points off of news media. To me, that's all a coup. That's what they do in other countries, and they call it a coup. It's a coup here, too. We just don't call it that. And the only way we're ever going to get past the situation we're in right now is by action, is by us rising up as a group, as a united conservative front, and beating them at their own game. And and I don't think we have the spine and the backbone to do it.
Or the know-how. I don't even know.
There's the know-how.
I don't even know how that starts, Tabitha.
But the problem with conservatives is we are so divided
the problem with
amongst
conservatives,
ourselves.
it starts with at the top with Mitch McConnell. He is.
Yes.
He's one of the most powerful men. He's one of your most powerful Republican. Who's a more powerful Republican in D.C. than Mitch McConnell right now?
None.
Yet the majority of Republicans in this country, average folk like us, not saying that we were asked in the polling, but average thinks that he needs to be gone.
Of course they do.
Yet Mitch McConnell was also there, and I think
Doesn't matter what we
comment
think.
line standing there yesterday, clapping, cheering for Zelensky, saying we need to give him the money. It makes no sense. 100%, it makes no sense. However, there is a cancel effect, and we talk about those situations on this show where people can't go and talk about them anywhere else. If you don't, and you're in Congress, and if you're not there clapping, cheering, applauding, crying, we love you, Mr. Zelensky, guess what happens? National media puts their camera on you, and then they come after you. And it's day after day, night after night, week after week. You, your family, your friends, your constituents. Oh, he doesn't have a heart. He doesn't want this. Maybe, and if you had enough people to stand up and say those things, it could change. There's absolutely no doubt. And yes, there is power in numbers, no matter what you have in life.
Absolutely.
But you have too many people who are afraid to do certain things. And just be watching. Over $1 trillion and counting. Whenever Zelensky asks for money or asks for anything, does he get it, Tabitha? He gets it.
Every single time.
He gets what he wants.
No one's ever said no.
And do you hear reports on Ukraine or what's going on? Is Russia leaving Ukraine? No, they're not.
They're not.
They're
going
only
to fight
getting
to the death.
stronger. Their ruble is the highest it's ever been. If you do the research, you'll see it. Everything connects together, and there's a reason for it. And the other thing that's concerning with this whole situation, because A leads to B, B leads to C, and now C to D, as Tabitha brought up with me yesterday. Oh yeah, check out the U.S. ambassador to NATO.
To NATO, Joanne
Yeah.
Smith.
Hello, are you guys paying attention to China? Are you paying attention to Russia and what's going on with their relationship? Remember, China refused to call out Russia on the invasion in Ukraine. They didn't say anything. They didn't go after them. They jumped in bed with them to do more business because it's about money. It's about strengthening their military. It's about strengthening their funds. It's about devaluing the dollar, and it's happening before our eyes. But, oh, we're great America. Nothing's ever going to happen to us.
Wrong. That's a big wrong.
Our own ambassador actually said something publicly, which is a feat in itself. Does that concern you? Probably not for some of the Democrats. If you're a Republican and you care and you study like Tabitha, you're probably scared hitless.
I'm scared. You know why, Vic? Why I'm scared? I don't know how soon this is all going to come together. I do think it will be in my lifetime, but BRICS is rising. And Joanne Smith, the U.S. ambassador to NATO, made a very good point. She said, hey, folks, pay attention. Look at the alliance between China and Russia. Those two forces together are huge. They're huge. And they will beat us.
India.
India, Saudi Arabia, all these folks are coming together and they want to join BRICS.
Hey, that's a great question, Todd. Can Ukrainian troops actually operate a Patriot missile battery?
Well,
or
they
are
can.
we going to have troops there?
We already have troops
secretly
there.
training them. Tabitha told us about that on Monday.
We've had troops there for a long time. We have been training troops in Ukraine for a very long time. That's not going to change. And we're sending more troops over there all the time. As a matter of fact, there was an American female that was killed in Ukraine just last week. We have troops there. For anyone who doesn't think we have boots on the ground, we do.
What?
I sent you the story. Yeah, there was an American female. I'll have to go back to find her name. I posted it on my personal
soldier
Facebook page. Well, she is there as
Marine?
She is a former Navy, I believe.
What the hell's going on?
And she was killed over there. There's a lot of Americans over there fighting on the Ukraine side. A lot of them. So going back to BRICS is...
Wait a minute. Can I say
Yes,
something really
of course.
quick? If we, the United States, have soldiers on the ground in Ukraine...
She is there as a volunteer. She was there as a volunteer.
That's going to piss the F
She's not the
out of
first
Russia.
American that's... Well, Russia already knows this. She's not the first American that's been killed over there fighting, as an independent. There's a lot of Americans over there, Vic, as independents. But you know what? You don't hear that on the regular news. You won't hear
But
that
if
on
they're
mainstream
there as
news.
independents, that doesn't count
Well-
as American troops on the ground.
Well, we do have troops on the ground. Russia's very well aware of it.
Drew says you're wrong. He says American
Well,
troops are not in Ukraine.
Drew
They are
only
being,
watches CNN.
He says they're being trained in Poland.
Drew
Do we
only
have-
watches CNN.
Do we have proof?
I
of
will tell
American-
you who
where
exactly-
where can the average
Okay.
person find proof? This is how you can take care of that. Find proof of where
Go online
American
and look.
troops
It's not,
are in Ukraine.
It's not a secret. It's not a secret. Most everything that we talk about on this show, it's not a secret. It's not like I'm calling Trump and him giving me this information. It's not a secret. You just have to research everything.
But is it?
It's out there. You have to look it up. You're
But
not
are
going
they
to see it on the
official
news.
or not official?
They are officially there, yes. And they're not there in a capacity. Our U.S. troops are in Ukraine. They are there to train Ukrainians how to use our weapons. They're not there to fight. They are there training Ukrainians how to use the weapons we send over because they don't know how to use them. And as a matter of fact, you know who's been there for a long time is the Florida National Guard. They've been there for a very long time.
What, DeSantis allowed that to happen?
Yes.
How the hell? What? To go help Zelensky?
The absolutely so. The Florida National Guard has been in Ukraine for a very long time.
Drew says, Tabitha, where do you get your information from? Alex Jones?
Well, Drew, I don't even care what Drew says. I really don't. Drew's
And then
like,
Bendy says, Florida and G? What? When you said the Florida National Guard, that blew
Look
my
it
mind.
up.
Because I had no idea.
anyone
Still?
can go online and look it up because they were there training Ukrainians how to use American weapons before this invasion started. And when the invasion started, they temporarily moved them into Poland, just along the border of Poland. And then after that, they brought them back in. And you can look, DeSantis has commented on it. It's all out there. Here's the thing. If you want to know the truth about what's going on in the world, in our country, turn your television off because you're never going to see this stuff on your television. But it's all out there for the public to see. You could Google it or DuckDuckGo it, which is what I do right now, and you will see, look up Florida National Guard, Ukraine. It's all there. It's not a secret.
I know. It's just one of those things. Our Christmas holiday is this weekend. I know people want to be merry and jolly and have fun and give gifts, open gifts, be with family, be with friends, smile, have that joy of the holiday season. We're just sharing news today. We're not there yet. It's to help educate you because in life now, you have to balance everything because there are these situations that are going on. It's not about trying to scare you. It's all about trying to educate you, educate us, because it was a massive story yesterday. And you've got Mr. Zelensky, who is now the person of the year. He was being awarded yesterday. You always have to look at their past, look at why and where all this money is going. If you know there is no end in sight and Russia is not leaving, why do you continue to send money? And that's a price tag forever. And we already look at what's happening in this country. We have massive, massive debt that we're not even going to see that's going to be onto our kids in the next generation just from the last bill that the president had brought through just to give COVID money out. We talked about the companies getting millions and millions and tens of millions and sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars in COVID relief that don't even need it. And we're just sitting back going, oh, everything's going to be fine. Oh, it's fine. There's plenty of money. We don't have to worry about the debt. The economy's not going to crash down. And then you actually talk to economists who will talk about Republican and Democratic strategies that can work, being down the middle saying, oh, yeah, look at all the money we've printed. We're effed, and it's only a matter of time. No, seriously, we're effed, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. We're effed. And then you have those same people and others just trying to get what they can for themselves and their families because they know this country is effed. It's a matter of time. So what can you do now? I've always looked at that tab, but it's not just throwing it out. I know people don't want to listen to bad news over time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My problem with it is, yes, I want to educate. I want to learn myself.
That's what it's all about is the
but
education.
What can you really do?
There are many things we can do, but they all involve action. You know, a lot of people, Vic, as a matter of fact, most of the people I know don't pay any attention to any of this. The Great
New
Reset.
World Order. It's coming for you soon.
And that's true. It's going to come to a point where
I see dead people.
these countries have to choose. Do you want globalism? Then you're going to side with NATO. If you don't want globalism, you're going to side with BRICS. But the problem is that we as citizens, as the people, we may not like the Biden regime, but yet we still love our country and we still want to protect our country. We still want to protect our children. I don't want my son to be drafted and sent over to Ukraine to fight Russia. I don't want that. I think that it could come to that, especially now that we're sending Patriot missile defense systems over to Ukraine. That's a really big deal. I don't want our American troops being killed over there, just like they've been killed in so many ridiculous wars that were nothing but propaganda. It makes me sick. But at the same time, I know we have to protect our country. And at some point, things will turn around and this country will be great again.
We will?
And it will.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
It will.
You're the last person in the world I think would be saying that
I say
right
that
now.
all the time because at some point,
How?
there's two ways. One of two ways. Two things are going to happen.
Oh, I already know what's going to happen.
One of two things are going to happen.
Your revolution. Here we go.
Either people are, well, I don't know. I don't know. One of two things could happen. Either we are going to have to come together and rise up against the folks that are holding us down, or something really bad is going to have to happen. And it's looking more and more like that's the case, that something really bad is going to have to happen that's going to unite all of us. And we're all going to unite together, conservatives and liberals, and we're going to fight this one thing, and that will get us over this situation. And that one thing could be war. Because I'll tell you what, as much as I hate Zelensky, I hate this money going to Ukraine, as much as I understand why Russia did what they did, I don't want Russia or China to rule the United States. So at some point, we have to come to some conclusions here.
It makes you wonder. And a part of that, when you talk about, and I bring up the fact of what can be done if you don't like what's being done. Yesterday, driving with my son to take a college visit, he was a little bit worried about what we do at Cancel This. Dad, I'm worried. He's like liberals, they yell. They make a scene.
Yes.
They try to make you feel bad. I'm like, why would you say that?
It's their strategy.
And this is one of the most, my son is a sweet, I mean, yes, he's a football player but he's a sweet kid.
He is.
He really, really is. He's like, Dad, if you even try to have a different opinion, you get yelled at, you get called a hater. You say, oh, you don't want to, you're all for Trump. Conservatives don't love people. And this is coming from an 18-year-old getting ready to go to college. He's like, I'm worried people will yell at you guys and cause all kinds of crap because they disagree. And I'm like, do you think that's right? He's like, no, I don't think it's right. But he said, but that's what liberals do.
That's right. Exactly
and
what
he
they
said,
do.
and my point, I was like, do you think that they're more willing to give their opinions than younger conservatives? And he said, absolutely. But he's like, it just seems like there's more of them. And they'll say, and he's like, Dad, I would never say anything. He got yelled at last year because he went to a dance and he had no idea that when he went to his girlfriend's dance, that there was a girl at their school that brought another girl that was dressed like a boy, and he didn't know that it was a girl. Put yourself dressed, same haircut, looks like a boy, sounded like a boy. He didn't know. He's like, hey, dude, what's up? And that girl dressed like a guy, taking the other girl to the dance. Are you following me so far?
Yes.
Got pissed and started yelling and cussing at him because he didn't know. And then started saying, oh, are you a Trump lover? And stuff like that. Gets back to my point, connecting A to B, B to C. You have to be ready. You have to be willing to talk. And my son felt as if a lot of the younger conservatives or people who disagree with current administration aren't going to say things, which is why I ask you, Tabitha, what can really be done? Because even liberals and Democrats who disagree with the president aren't going to be saying anything because they'll take this instead of allowing a conservative to get in the Oval Office.
There's no question. And that's why, Vic, I do say it's great to have these little battles like we had with the all ages at the drag show deal. And maybe the revolution is won in small battles. I don't think we have time for that. I think we have to fight fire with fire. as hard as that's going to be for us, and I don't mean screaming at people because you called him a she when it's a he or vice versa.
He said, "What's up, dude?" He had no idea.
Vic, this happens to me
And there's
all
no
the time.
tolerance for you as a conservative or for you as somebody who's having a different opinion. None. What happened to being able to have a conversation like we did with Mark Kaysen, the professor, teacher at Cardinal Ritter Prep, which we're going to do more of. And we thought he was off his rocker, an absolute lunatic for his policies and ideas. He thought the same of us. But you know what? After that, he told Lizzie he loved being with us because we're having a conversation and we're polite and we're respectful. He was somewhat respectful to us.
He was. I thought he was very respectful to us.
But my son says that's not the way with younger generations who are going to be coming up and seeing a lot of this stuff manifest.
I know people don't like it when I say this. Some people don't. I really think it's a form of mental illness. I know, but I'm not. I'm dead serious.
I haven't gone there yet, but maybe I'll get there.
But I think that the children are being indoctrinated at such a young age, and that they're going to, and the government wants your children at an even younger age. That's why they're offering free pre-K, because they want to start out monitoring your children.
Voters.
They're trying to outlaw
Voters.
Homeschooling, by the way. That's next on the liberal agenda. I've already been reading about that.
Okay, we're going to have to get
We'll
into that.
we'll get into that next week. But
Some of the most intelligent, well-rounded people I've ever met are people who've been homeschooled.
Yes.
But they may seem different to society because society is so effed up, they don't realize how it could be. I will defend homeschooling to the end because
As
I've had
will
so
I.
many. I wasn't homeschooled, but I grew up knowing kids who were homeschooled. I know kids who are homeschooled now. Chanel Rion from OAN, who we had on, homeschooled, brilliant. So many other cases.
Well,
that
there
people
are
just want to attack because they're homeschooled.
absolutely.
You got my blood boiling with that, Tabitha.
There are Democrats in Congress.
Well, yeah, but there's Democrats
right
in Congress
now
trying to take a lot of things away.
who are saying we need to end homeschooling.
But that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
It doesn't mean it's going to happen. As a matter of fact, I will hope that it's not happening. That might start the revolution right there. But what my point is, though, is that they want a hold of your children. They want to start them as early as they can, brainwashing them to be that 2% on the very far left. They want to give them those options. Are you a boy or are you a girl? What you were born with doesn't really matter. And you need to be against God because there is no God. It's like they start kids at such a young age that by the time a child is, let's say, 18 or 19 years old, it's so ingrained in their brain.
It is.
That you cannot change their mind. You cannot change their mentality. And it is like a mental illness because it's been forced on them and brainwashed and thrown in. It's programming.
The same son that I was talking about, his girlfriend, who is sweet as can be, calls herself a liberal. And that's what she has learned her whole life, unfortunately, going to the schools that she did and hanging out with the people that she did. And my son's like, I can't even talk to you. I'm not going to talk. They get along great, but politics, they can't talk. I said, I'm glad you guys even talk about it at your age.
That's a relationship that won't work.
And I
Sorry.
said, it's good to start talking about those things. Jamie from our post says, if it walks like a duck, ha, 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 talking about my son seeing this female dressed as a male, sounding like a male, acting like a male, not knowing. And he said, hey, what's up, dude? Trying to be friendly and then gets yelled at for not knowing it's a girl dressed as a dude. Are you following? I hope so. Jamie says, this girl should have politely corrected him and moved on. If you don't want to be called a dude, don't dress like one and look like one.
And it doesn't always happen that way. The same situation happened to me, I think it was Tuesday evening. I was working anti-piracy. I was working on a screening.
Was Tom Cruise there?
He was not there.
Damn.
It was not a Tom Cruise movie. And
damn, we got to get him back on the show.
Yes, absolutely.
Was Mark Wahlberg there?
His father-in-law still listens to the show. Tom Cruise's father-in-law.
What? Which ex-wife's?
Mimi Rogers' dad is a big fan of the show.
Mimi Rogers' dad is a big fan of what show?
Our show.
Of Cancel This?
Yes.
Where is he?
He listened to us when we were on the edge.
But
he's
you don't know
traveling right now. He's in Egypt right now. I've told you that before. You just
wait
don't
a minute.
remember.
Wait. But does he listen to Cancel This? Do you know?
He has, yeah.
You got to get him.
He's on my Facebook page. So I'm kind of giving us little hearts and stuff. He's very liberal, but he's the type of liberal though has common sense. I know there are not many of them, but he does have some common sense.
Could you say it's a mental illness? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was like, you're burying the lead. What? Oh, yeah. One of Tom Cruise's ex-father-in-laws listens to us on the show. What?
I don't think all liberals have mental illness. And when I'm referring to liberals, the progressive liberals, I'm talking about, and I call it the 2% rule. It's the 2% to the very far left, the ones who are making all the laws for us right now.
Yeah, they're the loud ones. What else were you getting ready to say before I interrupted you on the Mimi Rogers story?
I was talking about
anti-piracy story.
Was working in anti-piracy on Tuesday, and I can't give a whole lot of details out about my work, but it happened to be where I was working. There were a lot of gay people, men, women, etc. And I have to talk to every single person that comes in because I have to give them warnings
no problem with that
about piracy. I'm so used to saying ma'am and sir that I was just tripped up all night long. As there was these two people walking towards me at one point, and I'm like, hey, ladies, and then I'm like, okay, wait, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
We got to get George on so he can explain it for us. George is well-spoken, who we had on last week.
Absolutely.
With Log Cabin from the LGBTQ Republicans who were meeting with President Trump last week.
It's a tough situation when you come across someone,
but it's an individual,
and you don't. I am not going to go out of my way to worry about what your pronouns are. Just so you know, I'm not. I'm going to say I'm going to do my best.
And that doesn't mean you're
respectful.
a bad person.
I'm going to do my best to be respectful. But if I don't know you, I don't. You know what? There's a lot of women out there who look like men, and they don't mean to, and they're not gay. They just look like men. There's a lot of guys out there who are metrosexual and they look like females, but they're not gay, they're not trans. They just happen to look like a girl. It's really difficult to know how to approach people.
And as we go into our Christmas holidays this year, if you have that liberal family member that you just can't have a conversation with, pray before. I'm a big believer. Pray before you're supposed to say it or not, or don't even approach it at all. Stacy says, my brother-in-law is far left. Can't have a conversation with them at all. Very frustrating. And you know what we're talking about. Everybody seems to have one of those situations. Does everybody have a family where they go to a big get-together and everybody feels the exact same way?
My family, well, I have a very tiny family, but
my family,
we all feel the same way.
One where I go, everybody is the same way except one person. One and
now your soon-to-be daughter-in-law.
No, stop.
Who's going to be against homeschooling your grandkids.
Oh, there it is, doomsday. Tabitha Hassel.
Indoctrinating your grandchildren.
I love this show. It's Cancel This. Lots of energy here every day. We do it like nobody else. We do it how we know it. We're bringing it real. We're bringing it strong as we do. It's Cancel This. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel.
You can't say my name today.
Eric Johnson is he's taking care of himself. He messaged us yesterday and said that you don't want what I have. I'm on my way to the doctor.
Poor thing.
I have 100-degree fever. Scotty Gherkin had over 100-degree fever. They're taking care of themselves. I told them they had to stop kissing each other. That stuff happens. It's all right. They're now, they're taking their vitamin C's. We're doing our best here.
And we have our mystery producer in the studio.
Mystery producer is taking care of stuff.
We're trying to help her out.
Yeah, well, okay, you already said her, so you gave her pronouns.
Well, I did yesterday, too. She actually talked to us yesterday, so people know she's here.
Did you give her name?
No, I did not, because she's the mystery producer.
And we have mystery producer with us as well. Maybe someday we'll say her name.
And we've been over there spraying her with disinfectant, so she
Hell
doesn't
yes,
get
we don't
sick.
bring people in here and not take care of you. That's for sure. That's not how we do it. Go to canceltheshow.com. Once again, canceltheshow.com. Pick your viewing option to stream. And even if you're watching on Facebook or Rumble, go to YouTube, click the bell, subscribe, share the show, let people know. That's how we get out to more places. Lots of people all across the country are viewing the show, even after the live show. We're getting lots of hits, lots of likes there. Help out the show. Jump in. No party tonight. We postponed it until next week, our kickoff party at Winty's. They jumped on as a sponsor. We jumped into their place to do the kickoff party. Next Thursday, 7 p.m. We'd love for everybody to see us. That would be freaking awesome to meet as many people as possible. We'll have sponsors there as well. And
cancel the shots.
Okay. And you don't drink. She's the shot queen.
I am not.
She's right. She doesn't drink.
I
she
never
throws
drink
them
it.
back.
No.
Like, boom. Give me a boom. How many booms do you do? Like 10? You're good for 10.
No,
10
you know
booms.
what? Anymore alcohol makes me sick. I really
Tabitha
can't
Boom
drink.
Boom Hassel. I like that better.
It just, I don't know what is going on with my body, but I have an alcohol intolerance these
No,
days.
the best part is you get this smiley look on your face. You're like,
Now, Vic has seen me a couple of times.
likewise. Anyway, as we go to break, Jamie says, my niece calls everyone bruh. I just ignore until
I
she
have never
says,
said that word in my life.
bruh. Well, that got back to the story with my son. Can you say bruh? What's up, bruh? What's up, bruh? We'll take education here. Come on, what's up, bruh? Oh, I love this show. Come on. Who does it like we do? It's Cancel This. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We have to talk. Tabitha, can we jump into the facial recognition story?
Absolutely. Very important
I
story.
despise MSG
Yes.
for doing this.
It's happening to us everywhere we go. We just don't think about
The
it.
technology is out there. It'll blow your mind. Just wait to hear the story about a woman who was kicked out of her or not allowed entrance into a Rockette show because she is an attorney that has a case with MSG. Just wait till you see how they found out who she was and why they wouldn't let her in. We'll get to that story. We've got so much more. Don't go anywhere. If you got information, stories you want to let us know. Let us know. I'll go ahead and put the video link on right now if you want to video link in and talk with us. It's almost Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy December 22nd. Back with more Cancel This after this. And welcome back to Cancel This, everybody. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel. Eric Johnson is sick. He won't be here today, and we'll see about what happens tomorrow. Scotty Gherkin also battling a fever. Damn, those two guys got sick. Tabitha and I have managed to weave our way through it. We've got mystery producer in-house as well. Maybe we'll hear from her in a little bit. She likes to sit over there, make sure that we look good, sound good, and laugh at what we say, right? Right.
She's over there looking at us like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah, we're still getting to know her. You don't have to say it. You can nod. Are you millennial? Does that age count as millennial, or are you under millennial?
I'm a Gen Z.
That's right.
We went over. Yeah, Eric was asking her the same thing. I don't know the difference between them all.
What? You're a Gen Z? What? Anyway, that was my Eric interpretation. Sorry about that. Anyway, welcome back to the show. It's Cancel This. Check us out. The housekeeping reminders that we do. There's no party tonight. We postponed it to next Thursday night when I looked at the long-range forecast, and I'm wanting to believe it, that the highs are going to be in the 50s next week, mid-50s, and lows in the 30s. So why not do it next week when there's no snow?
That's right.
Or blizzard-like conditions. So we apologize that we can't do that tonight. Hopefully you're still able to get out 7 o'clock Winties in the Chesterfield Valley for those who live in the St. Louis area and listen. Hell, if you're somebody who listens in another part of the country and you fly in, let us know. We'll take care of you. We'll house you. We'll do whatever we need to do. Let us know.
And we're at an airport. You can fly right in here.
Sure, we'll set you up. Strategic Air Services. We got one of the coolest places that you can do it. You don't hear the airplanes here because we have an incredible studio and room, but you walk right out of the door, down the hall of this luxury facility, the studio, and you see airplanes. Massive airplanes in the hangar, which is really cool.
Beautiful ones.
Eric Johnson, if you're listening, people are sending you their love as well. So Lizzie did see that was my impersonation of Eric. Thanks, Lizzie, for hearing that. I've been working on that as best as I possibly can.
You sounded like a squawking old lady.
What? Yeah, I know. I got to keep. You said that. I didn't. Take your vitamin C. I've got that here. We wiped down the studio. We're ready to rock and roll. By the way, I didn't have a chance to put that video link in. If you want a video link with us, I will the next time Tabitha starts to talk. If you see me texting or writing, that's me putting the video link in. Unless does our producer extraordinaire have access to the Facebook page?
I can type in here.
Can you put in that account from our platform?
Sure.
The same thing? Okay, thank you. So we'll get that if you want to jump in and join us. Before we move on to this MSG story of AI technology, which is scary, fascinating, bizarre, all the above, we ask you to go to YouTube, subscribe, and click the bell button, so that you get more for your bang for your buck here for this show. If you can do the same on Rumble, do that. And, of course, on Facebook, like the show, share the show every day. It's not just people who are watching us right now. Go ahead, watch the live streams. You can watch the shows when they're done. Lots and lots and lots of people across the country now are watching those shows outside of us being live, because we are a podcast, saving this original content and the content that you're not going to get anywhere else. We're grateful that you're a part of this show, so jump in, let us know. Okay, real quick, I just spoke with somebody who was at the drag show at the factory in the St. Louis metropolitan area last night in Chesterfield, not all that far away from us. We were told that there was one arrest last night, and we didn't know who it was. We were told it was an anti-protester.
Correct.
So you had a drag show. Most of the listeners already know there's a drag show initially. I believe it was an all-ages drag show. Is that right? Or was it 12 and up? Whatever the case was, young kids could go. We had video. There were sex acts that were being shown, and if parents wanted to take their kids, they could. Okay, so we were concerned. We talked about it just because any kids could go, even if their parents wanted them to. And any age. And it was only when you see the video, it makes you go, oh my God, those are sex acts. Is that really appropriate material for kids? Well, other shows in the St. Louis area talked about it as well. Bill Eigel, friend of our show, who joined us just a few weeks ago live in studio, wrote a letter, made a call. Before you know it, Chesterfield jumped on board. Several police were out there last night as well to make sure that nothing happened and that no kids were being allowed into the factory. The factory is a great place. They've done a lot of great business. It's really cool inside. They bring a lot of really cool acts to their place. So with that being said, the person I talked to said, I wanted to add something to your guys' conversation about what happened last night in Chesterfield. He said, one, there were lots of police there checking, so that may make people feel happy. Two, he said there were about 100 total protesters in the weather last night.
Were there really?
He said he didn't see any signs of anti-protesters. However, we've been told the one arrest was an anti-protester.
Correct.
He did say that the protesters he saw were very, very, very engaging, very loud, and even making it difficult for cars to drive in, getting in front of cars, getting near cars. And he and other people that were driving in couldn't even operate in a normal manner because of the protesters trying to stop them.
I find that to be disappointing.
Is that allowed? Is that true? And this person is somebody who I trust, somebody who I love, and somebody who I would say, yeah, that's wrong. And
it's very disappointing for me.
So I don't. But then it's like, what is it? One person, and then everybody gets journalized for it. He said he saw guys jumping in front of trucks. They had to get police to actually move protesters around. This is one person's experience of what they saw last night. The problem is, or not the problem is, police are put in a bad situation, and they have to go there and be the deterrent between the sides.
It's disappointing to me because while I am all for fighting fire with fire, and I do think we need to stand up, Eric and I and Lizzie talked about this a little bit yesterday. We have to pick our battles, but B, when do you get to the point where we say, okay, as an adult, you should be able to go do whatever you're doing if you're not harming anyone. Adults, not children. I'm 100% against children going to a drag show. I have no problem with adults going to a drag show. An adult, somebody over 18 years of age, should be able to go to a drag show if they choose to go to a drag show.
100%.
I don't want to tell another adult, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, block their car when they're trying to go, when they're just attending an event. As an adult, I don't care. Vic, if you told me, I know this is silly, but if you told me tonight I'm going out, I'm going to this big party and people are going to be there and they're going to be drag queens there and all this, I'm like, okay, good for you. I don't care. I don't care what you do. If you're not hurting anyone, I don't care what you do. And it's so disappointing to me that fellow conservatives, a lot of people that I know were there, would have stood and blocked people and kept people from attending something. That's their right to do. We can't trample on someone else's rights because we sure don't like it when they do that to us.
Yeah, you protest, and I always said that, be polite, be persistent, be polite, be persistent, be polite, be persistent. So I was told that they were doing their best to stop people from getting in, and that is not a lie. This person's one of the most easygoing people I know who was actually at the show. And he also watched the show last night. And he also thought it was important to let people know because of things that we showed video of the show. We showed the video of what they've done in previous shows. Now, a big uproar happened because of it. Now, did they change the show because of it? Because they were under the microscope? I don't know. But I've also been told that there were no sex acts last night on stage.
So what we saw...
It was just dancing and a lot of making fun of Tucker Carlson.
Oh.
I love it. Thank you for making sure that we understood everything that was going on last night. I can only imagine what they did with Tucker Carlson. So basically, that's what happened. And if there were no sex acts last night, that's different than the video that was shown to us and that was put out and shown to the Chesterfield mayor and others who were making the decision. So we had to get into that.
Can I address something really quick?
Jump in. Hey, that's the best part about this 3-hour show. We talk about everything and we can actually get into topics and news topics.
Okay. I want to address Danielle's comment, and I love Danielle, by the way. She makes some great comments. She stated the moral conflict here is that the neo-LGBTQ movement doesn't believe that exposing children to this content is harmful, and that's the bottom line. And to some degree, I agree with that in that children do not belong at these shows. Children should not have access to this type of content. Even a drag show, even if there were no sexual content, I don't think children should be there. However, I know quite a few people in the LGBTQ community, and a few of them listen to this show, and there are conservatives. And even the ones that aren't conservatives, I think they don't want children to see this either.
One of my friends as well.
Yeah, most of the people I know who are gay or in that community, and for whatever reason, they absolutely do not want children to be exposed to this content. They don't want children to be over-sexualized. However,
I talked to George about this and got his opinion.
And I love George.
He said the same thing.
Absolutely, but there are the folks that do, Vic, and they're not very many of them, I don't think.
And parents.
But there are. I have come across people, and not just in that community, but just in general, that 2% on the far left, who absolutely want children to grow up to be transsexuals, to be pansexual, androgynous. They don't want people to choose between male and female. There is that subset of people out there, and there is that subset of people out there, not just in that community, but in people in general that are for over-sexualizing children at a young age.
Yeah, and it happened. The only reason we brought this topic back up was the fact that we actually had somebody who was at the show, witnessed what he would consider to be protesters going above and beyond what they should have been for people who were just trying to go and enjoy the show without any kids on them. He also said something that I have not had a chance to bring up yet, that they had to stand in line for about an hour because they had to check everybody's ID, even if they had full beards.
I'm okay with that.
To make sure that they were of age to walk in.
I'm okay with that.
That's what raising your voice can do. That may make you feel happy. If you're somebody who's trying to walk in and you had to stand in the cold for an hour because your ID was getting checked, you're probably pissed off. And maybe you have a good reason for it. I mean, common sense, I've always believed there's that common sense factor that many people don't have, unfortunately. They may think they're smart, but they don't have the common sense. I mean, if somebody has a full beard, come on. Do you really have to check their ID?
Yes.
I disagree, but
I am fine with that.
You're in privacy, so
but that's also my line of work. I'm used to wanding people and checking people and et cetera. And sometimes it just has to be done.
And also, you had to have an armband that said you were over 18 or over 21 to walk around inside. So it's very fascinating. Just if you're going to protest, just don't be that way. Don't be that person. I know emotions can start to fly, and it's your right to scream and yell and do whatever you can. The problem is where enticement comes in, and if there are people who are also the anti-protesters who get in their face, and we've seen protests what happen all across this country. There's fights, there's yelling, there's screaming. Then police who don't get enough credit or get paid enough to do their job have to go out there and stand in the cold and deal with a situation that probably shouldn't be there. So anyway, that wraps that up. If anybody else was there, has any examples of what happened, let us know so we can.
I'm glad you brought that up because we did touch on that yesterday, and we have to stop trampling on other people's rights because we can't ask people to stop doing that to us if we do it to them.
Exactly. And one final comment: I was told they had a contest of the best drag name for Tucker Carlson. Now that I've been told that, I need to know what the best drag name was if you were there, so that we can. And then, of course, from the Facebook line, all opinions are welcome here. Just don't be nasty. Don't go after people calling stupid names and bring up information that isn't true. Drew says, once again, conservatives waste time on culture issues. Really, how many parents take their kids to a drag show? I would say less than 1%.
Yeah, I would.
That's a good point. He brings up a good point. He really does. And I don't agree with Drew on much.
I think it's the few. I would have been curious to see, had the change not taken place with the all ages to 18 plus, how many children would have attended.
All right, on a lighter.
I don't think it would have been many.
The best drag name was Tuck My Carlson.
Oh my goodness.
Even 25-year-old mystery producer is smiling over in the corner. Anyway, so once again, we'll move on from the topic. If anything else comes up, pop in, let us know if anybody else do anything. I continue to get information about last night, which is why we were still talking about said drag show. But who would have thought a drag show would have drawn so much attention this week and put us in a situation? But it's also been material that we could talk about. Okay, with that being said, have you seen the story of AI, artificial intelligence, coming front and center? And if you don't realize it, and Tabitha is in anti-piracy for movies, it's everywhere. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. And it's fascinating, scary, bizarre, unique, creative, all of these things. But there was a woman named Kelly Conlon. She went to a Rockette show. She was there with her daughter and some other Girl Scouts. She was taking Girl Scouts to watch a Rockette show. Fascinating show. Terrific entertainers. They were at MSG Entertainment. Well, as they were standing outside in line, video cameras That's right. When you stand outside, video cameras are scanning your face, just like you would see in one of the Bourne movies, just like you would see in a James Bond movie. They scanned her face, and then I guess it went boop, 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 all red, cancel this. MSG canceled this woman because she works for a law firm. She's an attorney. And for years, they have been involved in a personal injury litigation with MSG. So facial recognition noticed her to security guards. And then I don't know what popped up. It couldn't have said felon. It couldn't have said something nefarious as somebody who has broke a law, because she hadn't and didn't have a record. She's an attorney who happens to be representing a firm in a case against MSG, and they wouldn't let her or the young Girl Scouts in to watch the Rockettes.
Isn't that an unbelievable story?
Not only does it piss me off, but it makes me go, oh my God. I always tell my kids, wherever you go, there's cameras everywhere. There are cameras everywhere, except St. Louis City. I'm sorry.
And they're everywhere in St. Louis City, too. Just no one's trying to fight crime and doesn't care.
But there's cameras everywhere to watch. The eye in the sky doesn't lie, and they didn't let her in. That pisses me off. I mean, it's a private institution. It's a private facility. It's privately owned. I don't know if she has a case. But now MSG is taking a big hit from a public standpoint right now, including their owner, who's not considered to be one of the best guys around as well.
It's not unusual. Me working in the world of security, for
The
those
story's
who don't know,
unusual.
The story's unusual for somebody to be stopped and not allowed to enter. That part's unusual. What's not unusual, and a lot of people don't know this, and I'm not at liberty to tell you which companies it is. There are a lot of places right here in the St. Louis area that have facial recognition systems set up, and you don't even know it. You're walking in the door, and as soon as you walk in that door, they see your face. It's being cataloged. They know you're there. They have security teams that look it up. I know, being in the security world, that's not the type of security I work in, but my fellow security owners that I know, and people you know as well, Vic, they tell me about the software they see at these companies. It's insane.
Okay, so what's happening?
Centene, I can say Centene. Centene is one of those companies.
Okay, so
if you go in Centene, they have facial recognition.
Okay, so what kind of information can they see with facial recognition?
It can do a lot of different things. And the reason I found out about Centene is because during COVID times, they had thermal imaging. And when people were coming in, it was facial recognition and thermal imaging, trying to check people for high temperatures to keep them out in case they had COVID.
Oh my God.
That was at Centene. Because a friend of mine that owns a security company, he did their security during this time period, and maybe still does.
And that's all legal.
It's all legal. It's all legal. There's nothing illegal about it. There are a lot of places out there that when you walk in, it will check your facial recognition. Look, people don't understand the surveillance techniques that are in place. Right here in St. Charles County, it's everywhere, but I've experienced it here in St. Charles County. License plate readers, trust me, anywhere you go, the government knows you've been there because all these police cars have license plate readers. There are license plate readers on the highway, and they can read license plates. I think it's like 2,500 every couple of seconds. And if you ever see police cars driving up and down the aisles at stores, that's what they're doing. They're reading your license plates.
What do you mean?
It's a
driving
machine
up and down
that
aisles?
does it. Well,
you mean parking spots?
Parking spots.
You mean a parking lot?
I meant in the parking lot. You'll see a police car going up and down every single aisle in the parking lot. That's because their license plate readers are scanning your license plates. They do it here in St. Charles County. It happens everywhere in the world.
Not local security. You
This
mean
is
like
police
county?
officers.
These are counties,
Police officers.
municipalities, and their police cars. They
Police
have a dedicated
cars.
car to go do that.
Most of their cars, I believe, have license plate readers on
That
them
sounds like
these
something to
days.
be going on Frontenac.
It happens everywhere. It happens absolutely everywhere. As a matter of fact, I go once in a while to a store in St. Peter's, and I see the police car going up and down the parking lot aisles, and that's what they're doing. They're reading
I've never
everybody's
seen that.
license plates.
I have never seen that.
Yeah, it's happening everywhere, all across the country. And so there's nothing you can do, and there's nowhere you can go, and the government not know you're there.
I find it fascinating. Tabitha, I want your thoughts after I give you this. Okay. I know somebody who used to work security with Taylor Swift. or in that range. They had facial recognition when you walked into the venue
Yes.
on a TV screen with a video. People thought they were just watching a video and it was scanning their face.
That's
Holy
correct.
crap.
And that happened.
It would run them through
absolutely.
a database of a person of interest.
That's correct.
That's fascinating.
And it's not just big venues. It's not just big venues. We think about it when it comes to sporting events, but it's not just that. There are grocery stores, department stores, shopping malls, all types of places that have this facial recognition system in place.
It's such a fascinating story. So they weren't allowed in, and a second lawyer has now come forward and said that he was targeted by MSG's facial recognition tech and was booted as well from a Knicks game.
Really?
A Long Island attorney says he was kicked out of a Knicks game after getting flagged by facial recognition technology at Madison Square Garden.
Think
The
about
same
it.
system
It's
the
everywhere.
company used to boot the attorney Kelly Conlon and the Girl Scouts that she was taking to watch a show there because she's in a lawsuit with the or she's representing a company as a lawsuit, a personal injury case against MSG. So
It's
they just
everywhere, Vic.
What, do you think a company has a right to do this? So number one, it's going on and it's fascinating. That tree branches all over the place. Is it their right?
It's a conversation I've had many times with my
Private company.
my police officer friends.
I want to be pissed off. I want to say they can't do it. But at the end of the day, don't they have a right to do it?
I have mixed thoughts about that. Yes, they do have the right because they're a private business. They can.
I watch private businesses not allow people in during COVID because they weren't wearing a mask.
Well, and think about it this way: as a private business, the liability issues businesses face these days, and how as Americans we sue so often, we're so litigious that companies have to protect themselves. And the better security system they have, the better they can protect themselves. When I I hate the idea of the government always knowing where I'm at. Even though I live in a community, my neighborhood, it has a video camera. Everybody comes in and out is on video camera by the O'Fallon Police Department. It's not uncommon for this to happen, and that's for my own safety. And so I'm not going to be upset about that. I get upset about the license plate readers because I'm like, okay, they know everywhere I'm going. You cannot hide from these license plate readers. However, the flip side of that is it's also a good tool to catch people who have committed crimes. It's a good tool to catch people who have warrants out, people who are violent offenders. What I don't like is when they use these
That's why I don't have a
tools
problem with
for
it.
other things.
I know. I know. I've always said I have no problem
It's
with
that
a video camera
slippery
being on me
slope.
anytime, anywhere. If you're not doing anything, any crap, breaking any laws, then why not? I know that a lot of people say, Vic, you're stupid, you're naive. I get it.
No, you understand both sides. and take it a step further, Vic, and think about every time you use your debit card. The reason why the government
Yes, you're
wants
being tracked.
That's why they want a cashless society, because as long as you're using a debit card, a credit card, or something along those lines, they know everywhere you've been and every purchase you've made.
Okay. I have another update on Taylor Swift's crew. And this is also fascinating. The security guys for Swift would also blend into the crowd and use facial recognition on their phones, their own phones, to run through the same database. So not only are cameras up there, there are people.
Yes. I was just going to say you can do it on your cell phone.
Walking around with cell phones.
Yes.
To get better looks and to make sure they're getting everybody.
It's a simple technology.
But is it a good thing?
Could
it
a
help?
Simple technology.
Could
I
it
think
help keep terrorists out of places?
It can.
People with bad intentions.
It can. And stalkers. Somebody like Taylor Swift has stalkers, and they're going to be looking for these folks in a crowd. There's a lot that takes place behind the scenes that people don't know when it comes to protecting celebrities. And that I understand. But when it's used against the general public, I feel like that's a little bit of a different story.
No, it is. And all ages should know this as well. And remember, you're being tracked from our comment line. Drew says those license plate readers can track 2 miles away. What the hell? Your location option on your smartphone as well, Joe Patterson.
Yeah, and you can't turn it off. Like I said this, I think yesterday or the day before, Google's being sued right now because even though we think we're turning our location services off, they're still tracking us.
How?
They're being sued right now because your phone, even though you press that little button, it says stop tracking my location. That doesn't mean anything. They are still tracking your location.
What the?
If you carry this little spy device with you, and that's what this is, it's a spy device.
But you're carrying it.
They can see you. They can hear you. They know where you're at. Everything you say is cataloged and saved somewhere. And they don't utilize it. It's very hard to utilize, but it is saved somewhere. It's all out there.
Are you for this or not?
I am for it now. And the reason why I say
I am as well right now.
Only because, but what concerns me is if we're for it now, in the future, when it gets into the wrong hands or when things in this country escalate, which they're probably going to do, how are they going to use this against us? We see what they're doing in China with this type of software. It's terrifying.
So it's the slippery slope.
It's a very slippery slope. I'm all for catching violent offenders. I am all for knowing, as a matter of fact, what's so crazy about, and I'm not going to get into this topic now, about the Idaho homicides is that they weren't able to find any vehicles. I'm not going to get into that story now. But when we have...
But it is kind of with this. I think it applies.
It applies in that...
I'm fine with shifting gears into that topic.
I write the crime blog, as you know, and a lot of the cases that I write about, it's a situation where, and I love the technology for this purpose, where they say, okay, we had a homicide on X day at X location, so we're going to pull all of the records from the local cell phone tower, and we're going to know every single cell phone that was within a 10-mile radius of that cell phone tower. And so when you carry this little spy device with you here, every single time it pings, and it pings fairly often.
This is a serious story, but every time you call a phone a spy device.
It is. It's a little spy device.
I can't argue with you. I'm sorry. But every time you said that it pings.
It's a little spy device, and it continuously pings on the tower closest to you. And when it pings, that information is saved. So let's say if you're, God forbid, murdered when you're out in the parking lot here, the police are going to go back, and the investigator are going to go back probably, and they're going to look at the pings to the local cell phone tower, and they're going to get a list of hundreds or thousands of phone numbers, and they're going to know unless you have a burner phone, they're going to know every single phone number that pinged to that tower, and they're going to reach out to those hundreds of people.
Yeah, I do know that.
And so that, even though that's spying on us, even though I feel like it's invasive, I understand the technology. But the fact is, you can't hide. Somewhere in the vicinity here, there is a license plate reader. And at some point, when you drove from your home to here, somewhere your license plate was read. And so at some point, the investigators are going to come and they're going to look at that technology, and they're going to say, okay, these are the vehicles that passed after Vic's killing or after he was shot.
Stop saying that.
I know, I don't want to say killing. After we'll just say you got injured. They shot you in the knee.
They shot you.
Okay, so they shot me.
And it bounced off of your hardness.
I'll take the fall.
The bullet went away from your evil. It just, I don't want this.
So in these respects, I understand the technology. The same with the DNA. Look what's happening with DNA right now. All of those folks who gave their DNA to Ancestry.com, GED Match, and all these places, guess what they're using it for? They're tracking down people who have committed crimes based on your DNA.
Okay. There's so much to unpack with what you just said. Okay, let's start with this because we've got 3 or 4 different stories going on with AI technology.
But they all combined in the same
But they're
thing.
all combined into the same aspect. Glenn says that's how government AI security, tracked January 6 protesters.
Yes, it is.
And the 2,000 Mules geo-tracking.
Yes, it is.
So wherever you are, know that you're on camera.
You're always on camera.
You're always being tracked somehow,
always being
some way.
tracked.
Drew said he was tracked from 2 miles away with his license plates. Officer told him. Fascinating, if that's true.
It
Crazy
is true.
how they can do that with us. Also, Amy says, I said I needed to color my hair to someone yesterday, and Facebook put a L'Oreal hair color ad
Absolutely.
on my newsfeed an hour later. That's happened to most of us, haven't it? Where you're talking about something, and then it pops up on a Facebook page. Yeah. I was told that Mark Zuckerberg covers the microphone and camera on his kid's or his son's laptop.
Yes, because people can watch you through your laptop. And it doesn't have to be the government. It can be a random person can hack your laptop.
So
because
bizarre.
It's got this, and your television. Your television also watches you while you're watching it. Your cell phone can watch you.
The cell phone I get.
And not only that, but they can take photos. If somebody hacks into your cell phone or hacks into your laptop or hacks into they can hack into your thermostat, for gosh sakes. They can't take photos in your thermostat. Anything you have that's connected to the internet. My coffee, I have a smart Keurig. It's connected to the internet. Somebody could technically hack it. And it doesn't have a microphone or a camera, so I don't know how far they'd get, but I guess they know what kind of coffee I drink. Well, everything we have is hackable.
A concern from our comment line also was the fact that I just saw come down. Think about it. We're being tracked, entire society being tracked, but less than 2% are criminals or wanted for something. That should make you concerned. Yeah, it does me too. I've always been a person where I don't care if somebody's tracking me because I'm not doing any crap. I'm not up to anything bad. But when you think about what the possibilities are in the future, as Tabitha talks about, with a revolution, then things can get a little concerning. Kimberly says, my TV and laptop have black tape over the cameras.
Yes.
I know friends who have had baby monitors hacked and people talking to their kids at night. That coming from Derek. I've heard that as well. Trying to talk to kids to find out information about when they're going to be home, where they're going to be, where they live, that sort of thing as well. So much goes in. But because it branches also into the technology aspect. We have so much technology, and one of the stories that kind of intertwines with all of this, Tabitha, is you bring up the Idaho murders. They are nowhere closer now to finding who did that
They are not.
than they were when they first started. And in 2022, almost 2023, to not have any leads, at least that they've talked about in a public sense, and a lot of times, as you know, because you fellas, we're not going to hear about it.
Absolutely so.
Because that can
Absolutely
screw up
so.
an investigation from the
Yes.
start. But we would have known something by now.
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
But I don't know how the hell they have not been able to find any tech or use any technology to bring us any closer to finding who did it. Or who they did.
It's not surprising to me. It's not surprising to me because there are cases where they have a lot more information and it takes years to solve. From what I understand, I believe they've found DNA at the scene in Idaho, and that will help eliminate folks as they go on. In the type of injuries that we're hearing that took place in the Idaho case, I would assume with these types of violent injuries, the person probably cut themselves. So most likely they've potentially bled at the scene. It's going to take time to uncover all these things. But I know one thing about investigations. Most of the time, they have a lot of ideas of who it is, but it takes a while to line out all the dots. They have to connect the dots. Because just knowing what they know doesn't mean they can prove it in a court of law. So it's a possibility they might have a good idea who did this. Now, they may not, but they might have a good idea who did this. But knowing doesn't matter because you have to have enough information to make an arrest, to hold that person, and to be able to prosecute them without any doubt from a jury.
Yeah, no, I get it. I 100% get it. But in this day and age, we should have already known.
They should have.
And technology, with the way technology is right now, and video everywhere, eyes in the sky everywhere, you can't have it both ways. If we're going to have technology that's so intrusive in our life, everything should be seen, and there should be no issues with trying to track somebody down after this much time. Or Americans need to be very concerned and speak more about this public, I guess you would call intrusion into your lives when it comes to video, sound, and wherever you are being video recorded.
Absolutely so.
Knowing your face, where you are, standing in line, when you go outside of your home, and even inside your home.
You're not safe inside your own home from spying. There are ways to prevent that, but you're not safe in your own home.
And I look at you going, okay.
I mean, there's ways we can all, if anybody out there is truly concerned and you want to stay under the radar as much as possible, you know what you can do? There are ways around this. And take your cash, go to a store, buy a prepaid debit card. No one can track you with a prepaid debit card because you don't have to enter your own personal information. use that prepaid debit card, go buy a burner phone. Because guess what? No one can track a burner phone.
That's true.
Go buy a track phone at Dollar General.
This is all information for the revolution that's coming.
That's right. And no one will be able to track you on a burner phone. They have no idea who you
tell
are.
you where you can get your MREs very soon. Leslie brings up a very good point. So with all this technology that we have and all this facial recognition, I'm sure border security through our administration is using it to track all the people coming across the border every day. The thousands of people when they're taken to the centers, right? Are they using it then too to track people, follow people?
Think about this. At one point, they were putting ankle bracelets on illegals that came across the border, and they were just cutting them off and throwing them away. And they wasted millions or maybe billions of dollars doing that. So finally, they said, we're going to give them these cell phones, and they claim those cell phones are to track them. But I mean, how long do they hold on to these cell phones? It doesn't, none of it makes any sense.
Well, the other thing is, as we are told from the comment line, Robert says, here we go. It's kind of our free-for-all Friday. Insect drones.
They
with
do
cameras.
exist.
Oh, my God. Insect drones with cameras can pass through screens. If you don't think it's happening, it is. What do you know about this, Tabitha? Because I've heard stories from Robert in the past about these insect cameras that can go anywhere to get any sort of information. And it was started with the military to help our military, whether that's true or not.
I don't know. I assume that's probably is how it started. There are absolutely insect drones, no question about it. And I'm going to blow your mind with this. And
then I saw it on a James Bond movie.
Maybe you know this or maybe you don't.
Okay.
Did you know in the state of Florida, they have, some people call them drones, but they're mechanical mosquitoes. Did you know this?
Yes, I did. I've heard about this, and I went, okay. The first time I read it.
The technology we have is crazy. And they have genetically engineered mosquitoes in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Glenn
says Ant-Man. I love it. What a great comment. Facebook doing what they can with hiding comments yesterday as well. That came from Jeannie. I thought I saw tons of comments. Glenn says, my wife wouldn't like me having a burner phone, Tabitha. I know that's how you operate, Tabs, but not everybody.
I've got a whole box of them.
So why do you have a burner phone, husband or wife? From the comment line is Lizzie's, we're not safe from spying in our own home. You can't even have a phone, bank account, or Alexa. I turned my Alexa off as well after I heard the stories with Alexa and what was happening.
And it doesn't matter because your phone has your vehicle most likely has a tracking device on it anyway. I drive a Jeep and it does not.
Okay. Who's putting a tracking device on your vehicle?
Typically, it would be the dealership that you purchase it from. Because then when people don't pay their payments, they come and pick the vehicle up. So they usually put GPS trackers on almost all vehicles these days.
Okay, so when it comes to the technology that we have, and I know that it's a, quote, police case in itself with Idaho, you have to be shocked that there's no technology that's been able to be used yet, right?
Well, that we know of. Keep that in mind, that we know of. Because you have to remember that anything investigators have, if they release that information, it could cause a problem with the integrity of the investigation. So they're only going to tell you a little tiny bit. They're not even going to tell the parents, the families. There's probably a lot of things they know. One of the cases I've written about since it happened in 2017 was a case in Delphi, Indiana. In this particular case, there was 2 young girls that were killed, 13 and 14 years old, on a trail. These girls, one of the girls took her cell phone out and took a video of her killer as he approached her. So the police had a video of this man. And they have a sound of his voice on this recording. They released it to the public. 5 years go by, they could not figure out who this guy was. Finally solved this case a few weeks ago. It turns out the guy lived less than a mile from where this happened. And most of these cases, like in the Idaho case, I will almost guarantee you that it is somebody who knows these people, because there are so few cases in which they are stranger abductions or stranger homicides. It is probably known to these people. The police are going to start on the inner circle. They're going to work their way out. I can guarantee you
the technology
they know
is
so
there.
much more. They have to know so much more than what. And they do have a vehicle of interest.
It's so agonizing for those families dealing with that day after day, waiting and hoping that technology
But
can
this
help them in some
Idaho
way.
case, though, is very unusual because it's so unusual. The coroner, which is so strange for the medical examiner to release details of the cause of death. That's unheard of in homicide investigations.
And you have some experience with it. You write about it. You talked about that. If people are watching Cancel This, you can go to canceltheshow.com. Check out our original content while we are live 3 hours a day, Central Time, 7 to 10. You can catch all of our shows on canceltheshow.com. All the original contents that's there. And, of course, if you jumped into the show late, you can go back and watch that, too. People are talking about vehicles and the newer cars having GPS systems in them. But that can also be produced as a safety mechanism as well, as we've talked about. There's a lot of people stealing cars these days, especially in the state of Missouri, especially in the city of St. Louis. Hell, all around the country for that matter. Those situations can help you recover cars. We know that. It's a catch-22 with the technology, with the AI. And the reason we got into the conversation was not one, but 2 lawyers being kicked out of MSG in New York while trying to watch sporting events and or entertainment shows because their own personal AI recognition via face said, oh yeah, they're on our cannot come into list because they are attorneys who are working on cases that involve MSG or coming after MSG. So we're not letting them or their families in. These are private businesses that can do whatever they want.
That's correct.
But are people not going to go see their favorite shows and protest or not? I doubt it. Knicks fans are still going to go watch Knicks games. Rockettes fans are still going to go Rockettes shows. And people go, oh, my God, we're on camera now. Our faces are being shown. I think it's just a good thing to remind yourself and others wherever you go, that's what's happening. And it can be presented as a good thing, at the same time being presented bad. I've learned, I had no idea that's what police officers were doing in parking lots, driving up and down aisles, looking at license plates.
Absolutely. And because being that I work in anti-piracy, I'm at movie theaters all the time, so I see it all the time. And maybe it's not as obvious to other people, but I see it all the time.
No. Mystery producer, have you seen this happen? Have you seen police cars going up and down looking at...
I have not.
Okay. I was curious.
News to me.
News to me as well.
Now you know.
Tabitha makes stuff up sometimes because it sounds good.
Stop.
I don't know why you waste your time here. You should be sitting in rooms writing fiction.
Don't go there.
I'm teasing.
We'll fight, Vic.
No, I know. I'm not fighting you because you have a revolution. Your aim is better than my aim.
I promise you on my life, it is true.
I like shooting guns, and I'm decent, but I promise you and I haven't been to a gun range together, but I bet your aim is better than mine.
We may find out someday.
Oh, gosh. Leave it up to Robert. This might be a 9 o'clock story as we get into. We will all start wearing masks again soon. Ha, 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 ha.
No, we won't.
Facial recognition so that they can't do it. I wonder, would that cancel the facial recognition? How advanced?
No, it doesn't.
Because it could still get your eyes,
yeah.
right?
Facial recognition still works to some degree. Some of the, speaking of the January 6th, some of the January 6th folks, even wearing masks, were still caught. They can still see enough of you, enough facial recognition. The masks, they don't help.
Okay, here's another aspect of it. The positive of this AI. I was also told from my friend who used to work with Taylor Swift, security could also use their phones and these AI cameras to connect to faces and connect with law enforcement. I don't know if you knew this or not. I'm sure you did. And they would scan for sexual predators at the venues.
Absolutely.
And
so.
sexual predators going there to try to prey on younger Taylor Swift fans who may not be with an adult or at that specific time.
Absolutely so. And they use it at the Super Bowl and at other it's used a lot at sporting venues as well. Big sporting events, because there's so much sex trafficking and things that go on at these events.
And here's some more information for you. We broadcast live out of Strategic Air Services. It is a luxury hangar, and some of the best and most interesting aircraft that you're going to find in this country comes in and out of this place. And if you have a plane, this is where you want to park your plane. Here's a privacy issue that's very concerning. People can track tail numbers of aircraft. You've seen this. We did it in news all the time. You get the tail numbers, you can track where that plane is flying from. Oh, that plane is leaving St. Louis. It's headed to Columbia. It's going to Florida. It's going to New York. Is that something planners would be concerned about? Because that's how in the news business, it would be reported where we were trying to find out on coaching searches.
Airports don't allow you to take photos of airplanes for
the
that
University
reason.
of Missouri has a plane that's going down to Florida. Who are they talking to get their next coach? Oh, is it such and such there? Then the plane turned around and it flew to Oregon. Maybe they're talking to an assistant coach there. Another interesting thing when it comes. So you can track tail numbers of aircraft even if the operator tries to block it.
Absolutely so.
And I'm told this is a danger due to stalkers and paparazzi who don't have good intentions.
When we did the Greitens event here, I organized one of the organizers of the Greitens event here at Chesterfield Spirit of St. Louis Airport. And they specifically told us, the general manager did, she said, it's okay, because we had Fox 2 out, a bunch of other news organizations, and we were all taking photos. And they're like, that's fine, but they cannot take photos of the airplanes because they cannot have the tail number. Because, yes, you can use those to track people.
Well, Elon Musk this last week was dealing with some crap of his
That's
own
correct.
because people were giving his geolocation. Well, guess what? They're tracking his airplane as well.
Yes, and that's how people track government
His
airplanes.
car was his son in a car that time, but his airplane being tracked the same way where he is.
Absolutely so. That's how people track Air Force One. They track various government airplanes exactly that way.
Man, it's so much information. So when you walk outside, think about where you are, your car, what do you call it, your spy device?
Your
AKA
your spy
an
device in your
iPhone
hand.
or Android, your laptops, your phones, your Alexas, your cars. What else? I mean, is that pretty much TVs? And then is that information sold? How do you get that information? Where's the data going? That's got to be big money if that's even legal. Think about that.
And that information,
especially for advertisers,
is sold to some degree.
And cameras that are insect size that can go through screens. Tabitha's looking at me very serious, and I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
Well, I think that now they have swarm drones. Have you seen swarm drones?
Oh, dear God. I've heard of them.
It's mainly used for military, but now they're starting to use them for fireworks. I mean, for fireworks displays. So a lot of the times fireworks you see, what you used to see as fireworks shells going up, they're using drone swarms to create the looks of fireworks. It was originally used as a military purpose, but now anybody can buy a swarm of drones. There's so many different things out there. Attack drones. A lot of the United States, it's something that we use fairly often. If we want to kill someone in another country, or maybe in our own, we can use drones to do that.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the FBI finally responds to the Twitter files disclosures, says it didn't request any action on specific tweets. Okay, yeah, we'll see. There is a priest who is now coming out nationally, and he has a stunning claim about Catholic bishops and Democrats. Very, 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 very interesting. We'll get into that. We'll take your questions as well. If you want to jump in, the video line is there. We'll pop the video link up for you. We'd love to have you in. If you have any more AI stories, let us know from that standpoint. Or if we're missing anything, let us know. We'll come right back. We got our third hour. We're rocking and rolling. Getting you ready on December 22nd. Cancel this. Go to cancelthisshow.com if you want to check out our stuff. Like and comment on all of our platforms. Subscribe on YouTube. Like the bell as well. It helps all of us out to continue doing what we're doing. I'm Vic Faust, Tabitha Hassel alongside. Poor Eric Johnson is battling a fever along with Scotty Gherkin. But we've got our mystery producer in the house. She's doing very good. We'll be back with more right after this. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. It's Cancel This. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel. Eric Johnson's sick with a fever. We hope he gets better. Scotty Gherkin, sick with a fever. Hope he gets better. Mystery producer in-house. We're glad to have her along. She is rocking and rolling with us. I'm not sick, but my voice, I know. I think it's just congestion. This is what happens when it's supposed to snow and or rain. Normally, and I'm sure there's people out there that share this, my body is a barometer. It really is. I know when it's going to rain or snow.
I thought you were going to say a
Wonderland. Don't go there, Tabitha. Yeah, I'm sure. So I know when it's going to rain or snow. And I have not gotten sick or felt anything with our alleged snow that's supposed to be here. Now, we have listeners all over the country in the St. Louis area. We have Snowmageddon. I'm kidding. We're only supposed to get about 1 inch to 4 inches of snow. But it's supposed to be very windy. It is windy right now, and there are blizzard-like conditions that are supposed to happen. That's why we canceled our party for tonight, postponed it till next Thursday. Our Cancel This kickoff party, sponsors, listeners who want to come out and have some fun. So we're doing that next Thursday, 7 p.m. at one of our show sponsors, Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley. So normally I feel that. I don't feel it, but maybe...
You're sounding a lot like Lizzie did yesterday morning.
Yeah, but Lizzie showed up sick. I feel great. I was like a 20-year-old.
You might be going downhill fast. You're getting old.
Yeah, I am getting old, and it sucks.
I'm just kidding.
Anyway, go to canceltheshow.com, canceltheshow.com. Share the material. We love it. You can jump in on that as well. Also, if you have story ideas, let us know. If there's people that you know that would want to sponsor, be a part of the show, let us know. With that being said, we talk about people getting canceled for political ideas a lot, and it can go both ways. How about this story that just came out? I think Eric sent it to us, but it is on national news. You've heard of that band Journey. I want to ask our 25-year-old mystery producer, have you ever heard of Journey?
Of course.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Okay.
Do you know of them because of the band or because of the Atari video game?
What?
I don't play video games, so
The
definitely
Atari
the band.
video game?
There was an Atari
What the
video
hell?
game called Journey. It was one of my favorite Atari games.
I've never heard of it.
And
so-
the songs from Journey were on it?
Yes.
Okay, then. Journey's Jonathan Cain is now facing cease and desist orders from a fellow bandmate because he did a performance at a Trump event. Neil Schoen, who people have heard of, accused Jonathan Cain, his bandmate, of politicizing the band after performing Don't Stop Believing during a Trump event at Mar-a-Lago. Come on. What a wussy. I'd like to use a different word for him. Get over it, Neil. You obviously take yourself way too serious. I mean, would Jonathan be accusing Neil of doing the same thing if he was playing at a Biden? Well, he wouldn't show up for Biden, but never mind. Because we don't see all the supporters now for President Biden all over the country. So 2 members of the decades-long band, awesome band, dare I say it? Should I say it? Heading their separate ways. After this. So they're going to have some issues.
It's a very liberal band, as most bands are.
Well, clearly not if Jonathan Cain went and played.
One guy.
Well, Eric's the only non-liberal in PRL.
I was
Platinum
going
Rock
to
Legends.
say, I was just
and they
going
all
to
love
say,
Eric. At least I think they do.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I could see this happening with the band PRL.
Don't
Eric will play a
stop.
PRL something here, and they'll be like, no.
Video on Twitter showed Cain, who's 71. There's nothing like 70-year-old guys fighting. 70-year-old music superstars in their spandex and their hairspray. Video showed the 71-year-old Cain playing keyboard on stage at an event while a handful of women, including the very controversial Marjorie Taylor Greene, Kimberly Guilfoyle, and Carrie Lake, they all sang along at the podium.
Good for him. That's all
I
I can
wonder
say.
if that was the event last week that
the Lincoln dinner.
GS3, our friend of the show, who was there for the LGBTQ log cabin event, where Republican LGBTQ members got their voice heard because they say they're being canceled by liberal media and other liberal members of LGBTQ. So I bet it was. I bet it could have been that event last week.
Yeah, that was the Lincoln dinner at Mar-a-Lago.
So they were singing there. Kane has been part of Trump's inner circle now for a long time and has been seen with the former president at various events. Oh my gosh, I didn't know this. His wife is Paula White. She was one of those televangelists.
I would have never thought that.
Yeah, well, she worked as Trump's spiritual advisor. I'm not going to get into her or any of that. But there's video. Fox News, I found video of it. They show them singing and playing. I bet that was the event last week. I can't find it. But anyway, they're angry at each other. I guess Kane refused to tell him. But does Kane have to tell his band member that he's going to play keyboard for that song?
Well, that would be intellectual property, so I would think so. It would be co-owned intellectual property.
I don't know who
is
owns
what
it.
I'm
That's why we need Eric here, but
thinking.
he's sick.
But we don't know the makeup of their band, but that's how I would think that it would be.
Can't we all just get along? Can't we just get along? A big topic in our first hour was what happened yesterday when Joe Biden, the president, did a joint press conference with Zelensky, and Republicans are now finally coming out and stating no more blank checks to Ukraine, starting with Kevin McCarthy. Andy Biggs, who's challenging Kevin McCarthy for the speaker, tweeted no more blank checks because Kevin McCarthy is on that right now.
He has been right on top of it, no question about it.
And he is backing Mitch McConnell, who was there as well.
Yes.
So at least there are conservatives who are speaking out now against this. No Democrats that I've been able to find are speaking out against blank checks to Ukraine, which have received over $1 trillion in military equipment and money for a war that's going nowhere, as we were talking about earlier. Now, Andy Biggs is somebody I don't know very much about. He's a conservative Republican who wants to be House Speaker. And we already know there are a lot of issues within the Republican Party. The party is split. It really is. Now, people can tell me it's not. There's a lot of splintering. I know they're splintering at many times, but especially right now. He said no more blank checks to Ukraine. This was in the lead up to the press conference that happened yesterday where Zelensky, who refuses to wear a suit, and Tabitha calls it propaganda, and I can't disagree with her, when you leave your country, I mean, maybe it's the whole Fetterman situation.
He's a traveling salesperson.
And
he's trying to sell, he's trying to get $1.7 trillion in this deal. $1.7 trillion.
Wait
Let
a
that
second.
sink in.
Another $1 trillion.
Well, they've already received over $1 trillion. And now he wants in one fell swoop from us, the United States, us, the American taxpayers, $1.7 trillion.
It's fascinating when you look at the money that's going out right now. And there's no end in sight. It's a little bit scary to see where you're going with this, what's going on, how you feel about it. If you can stop anything. So is it going to stop, Tabitha? I don't see it stopping.
It's not going to stop until, like I said earlier, one of two things happen. Either we get so fed up with everything that's going on that we finally rise up and do something about it, which means taking action, or something really catastrophic happens that causes all of us to unite because something happens that we hate more than we hate this Biden administration. And those are the only two outs that I see, unfortunately. I wish I could say different.
Well, there's no way to tell them what's going to happen. We're just all trying to jump on board and see where it goes. The other thing with it is that our country we're not in a good financial situation. And you do see national media, though, jumping all over Zelensky as a hero.
Yes.
He was the man of the year, the Times Man of the Year, and people are getting very excited about it.
Across Washington, D.C. yesterday, they hung the Ukraine flag. We had Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris.
And on the surface, there's
it's not
nothing
against the Ukraine people.
But there's nothing wrong against that.
It's
on the surface.
I have a problem with that, I guess, because I know what's under the surface. My issue is not with the Ukrainian people. They are just pawns in this war. They are ultimately the ones who are paying the price. They're the ones losing their lives. It's the propaganda of it is what bothers me. It's the propaganda of it. It's a money laundering operation. He's a traveling salesperson. He's just trying to get money. He's just creating a facade. It's all propaganda. And they go back and they want to say, well, all these women and children that are killed in Ukraine fighting for their freedom. Well, guess what? Zelensky, the government of Ukraine, they came out and they said, every man, woman, and child needs to come and pick up a weapon from our government offices, and you need to go out and fight for your country. So yes, women and children are out fighting for their country. They are getting killed. There's no way around it. But what government tells young children to get a weapon and go out and fight and gives them a weapon to do it?
Well, the other issue here is there's no end in sight.
There is no end in sight.
And there's not going to be an end in sight. And Zelensky and Biden also spoke about this, trying to figure out where it ends. But for the first time I've seen, there are Republicans who refused to attend yesterday's event, which was the first time I've seen that happen publicly, not being worried about being canceled because of the blank checks that are being written, that are being sent. And even situations, as we've talked about, where the money, it's not being tracked.
Nothing's being, not the money,
Poof,
not
gone.
the weapons.
See you later.
Nothing's being tracked. And you know what, Vic? This is such a big deal. People probably wonder why I personally focus so much on this. It's such a big deal because this is not going to resolve without us having a major war. There is no way. When we're sending a Patriot missile defense system to Ukraine, that's called war. That's a really big deal. And Putin is not going to take that well. I can guarantee you he's going to be making a statement. He's going to be thinking of a retaliation plan because he will not lose this war. If we back him into a corner, he will do anything necessary to win.
In other headlines, we talked about storms supposed to hit the Midwest, including the St. Louis area where we broadcast live out of. We'll see what hits us, the blizzard conditions. I know we haven't been hit with anything yet. That's supposed to start a little bit later. Another interesting thing about society, as we talk about, which kind of shows where we're all going. Did you have any idea how short MoDOT is workers?
1,000.
Ask business owners. I'd be curious to know what business owners have plenty of employees, because as we have a storm, it brings up the topic. You said we're short MoDOT. Missouri Department of Transportation is short 1,000 workers.
1,000 workers and critical workers who are very important to keeping our highways and our roadways clear. 1,000 people down.
But the governor, Mike Parson, friend of the show, has activated the Missouri National Guard regarding the winter storm. Does that have anything to do with MoDOT? I know they're not driving trucks, right?
I think indirectly, in National Guard, if they have to drive trucks, they will. But they're there for emergency response. And I think a lot of the emergency response will be more along the lines of rescuing people. And there's a very big potential that we're going to have major power outages. When you have 40 mile per hour plus winds, blowing snow, these are blizzard conditions. When you have wind chills at 30 below zero, these are dangerous, deadly conditions. And we need, and not only that, but the National Guard, what I hear they're going to be doing, think about all of the people who are homeless in the area, all across the state of Missouri. These people, their lives are in direct danger. So there's so many things they're going to be doing.
When you talk about, and there was a press conference that was held 2 days ago where MoDOT was saying, listen, have patience. Now, we're not expecting a ton of snow. That's a good thing. Clearing the roads is where it becomes a massive issue. And I know we joke 1 to 88 inches, and a lot of times that's what you hear, something like that. More like 1 to 4 inches, some point between now and tonight, I guess. Right? You said you've had your finger on this, Tabitha?
I'm not even paying attention to snowfall. To me personally, I don't think the snowfall is going to be a big deal at all. I think maybe 1 to 3, 4, 5 inches. None of that matters.
That's okay.
None of the snow matters to me. I'm not even paying attention to snow. What matters to me is that when you have wind chills, I mean, our temperature, the actual temperature is going to be below zero.
But we didn't stop the party because of temperatures. We've been talking about this for 3 days. It was going to be because of snow. And then when we realized it wasn't going to necessarily be a lot of snow, then it was the windy conditions on top of the snow where you didn't have visibility on the roads.
It's going to be the fact that we're going to have potentially blizzard conditions. And you have to remember, when there is snow on the ground, and it's supposed to start out with a wet mix, and then you get down into 2 degrees, or you get down to wind chills that are 30 below, that's going to freeze into ice.
Oh, yeah, we know about ice in St. Louis, isn't that for sure?
Yes, we do.
Oh, keep me away from it.
It's going to be very hazardous, dangerous conditions. And I don't really know how much MoDOT can even do, because when you're dealing with blowing snow, 40 plus mile per hour winds, temperatures, wind chill 30 degrees below zero, nothing you're going to do is going to work. The only thing maybe people can do is rescue the folks who get stuck.
And you just hope that people don't.
You just have to hope
It's one
that
of those
people
things,
heed the
if you don't
warnings
need
and
to-
don't get out.
If you don't need to be out, clearly don't go out. I mean, you're smart. You don't need to be. Some of the dumbest stories I ever saw were us in local news. Well, if you're doing this, don't go out if you don't have to.
Don't get out if you don't have to. Your job is not
You already
worth it.
know that. It's
Your
not
job's
worth
not
it.
worth nothing's worth your life, losing your life. And this is the type of winter storm where you very easily could lose your life. There's no question about it. And I'm hearing, and I don't know that much about this. Hopefully somebody else on the comment line does, or maybe one of you guys know. I'm hearing that even though you can go out and pre-treat the roads, you can pre-treat your driveway or your sidewalk, that when you're dealing with these types of temperatures, it doesn't matter. I don't know if that's true, but that's what people are telling me. That the snow melt that we use is completely ineffective against these type of temperatures. I don't know if
What?
that's true, but that's what I'm told.
I lived in Michigan for 11 years, and it was
Yeah, and I'm from Chicago, but what the weather we face there is very different than what we're going to experience next 3 to 4 days. Very different story.
okay. Bendy says St. Charles wasn't going to pre-treat. I don't know if you saw that.
No, and I don't think there's a reason for them to pre-treat.
Also says my son-in-law is going to be plowing in St. Charles tonight. I guess whenever that rain comes. Obviously, we're talking about the St. Louis area, but that's coming from different spots. 5 degrees at 5 p.m. from the comment line as well. Road
Yes.
crews do matter. All it takes is you get caught out in a storm, as I have been in St. Louis before, and you're waiting hours sometimes.
Exactly, the rescue part of it.
For people, 30 below is deadly, no doubt about that. Going to get down to 2 by 9 p.m. That's before 9 p.m. High was at 34 at 1 a.m. this morning. Only 5 degrees for the high tomorrow. Yeah, that doesn't sound like fun. I did my grocery trip last night. Or
Oh
was it 2
no,
nights ago?
did you really?
Yeah. No, there was lots of people. All
Oh
over the
my
place.
gosh, Vic.
Yeah, it's so you've got that going on as well. If you guys have stories, let us know. Also, if it's kind of crazy, insane, and weather conditions are that way, we'll tag up another one of our shows for tomorrow. So we'll let you know what happens with that. We always want to be here live, but at the same point in time, if we can't, we will certainly pop up one of our shows.
I want to throw this out there. Bindi King, great point. Turned on her faucets. Even if you have heat on in your home, let your faucets drip. Because this type of wind chill, your pipes can freeze regardless of the heat inside your home.
So what kind of drip method do you use? Just like barely dripping, or
Yeah, as long as water is moving,
at
that's
somewhere?
all that matters.
But here, okay,
And
I've heard
keep
this.
an eye on it and make sure the water is continuing to move.
Okay, if you own properties, you tell people to do this. My question is this: do you do it just with one faucet? Is it a kitchen sink faucet? Is it a bathroom faucet? Is it a shower faucet?
I'm not a plumber, so for me,
I always hear that. And I'm like, okay, what do you turn?
What-
It on? Is it only one pipe that matters?
well, since I don't know what kind of pipes are under my house, and I have several bathrooms, I'm going to go into each of these bathrooms and turn on a little drip.
Okay, Brenda jumped in. My husband is a plumber. Outer wall faucets. So that would be a sink, right? Bathroom sinks.
Outer wall faucets are the most likely to freeze, and you definitely.
What's outer wall? Is that outside? Because we already.
Well,
if
like
you've
in
winterized
my
your
house,
home-
I have a bathroom like in the middle of the downstairs somewhere. I don't know.
What are
it's not an
outside
outside wall.
Somebody said it again. What are
But
outside
a lot of
walls?
people have their kitchen on the outside. There's a window above your sink. So that's obviously an outside wall, and your pipes are going to run along the outside. And so it's very important, particularly for those pipes, to keep
I
them
love all the
moving.
plumbers who are jumping in. We've joked about having our own plumbing business. Todd says, I'll set the dishwasher on a 6-hour delay when I go to bed so water moves in the middle of the night.
Oh, that's a good idea.
How about that as we talk about winter storm? News you can use all over the country. Had no idea. A faucet, if you don't have a basement. Well, what if you have a basement?
Basements are also very likely to freeze because you have your pipes that are underground sometimes coming in from. We have rental property and we experienced this a year ago. We had a big icing in downtown St. Louis and our pipes froze and it was a complete disaster. So trust me, let your pipes run a little bit. I'm also hearing somebody just messaged me and they said St. Charles did pre-treat. They put down salt brine and salt on the roads in their subdivision.
Bendy also says, my dishwater lines, the dishwasher water lines, have frozen twice. Oh, hard to thaw with hairdryer.
Frozen pipes. Let me give everybody a big heads up right here because we've had to deal with this. If you don't let your pipes drip a little bit as a precaution and your pipes freeze, you're not out of water for a couple of days. This is a very expensive fix, and it could take weeks to months to get it fixed because all those other people who weren't aware and they didn't let their faucets drip, guess what? Their pipes are freezing, and the plumbing companies are going to be absolutely jam-packed, and they're not going to be able to get out to you right away.
I like Paula's idea. She says she has friends walking over for breakfast, Bailey's and
Aw.
coffee.
There's
And
a
if
good
you haven't
idea.
tried Fireball in hot chocolate, it's pretty damn good. I tried that recently by accident, and it worked. Some Fireball fell in hot chocolate. Imagine that.
That stuff's
It
poison.
felt. Is it really?
Yeah, I would never drink Fireball.
Because you can start fires with it? It's
No,
like fire starter?
it's banned in other countries. I would never.
What?
touch Yes.
Fireball?
Yes. That's
But-
a conversation for another day.
Yeah,
but
but
yes.
Tabitha, a lot of the food that our own FDA regulates
Also
and says
banned in other countries.
is fine here, is banned in other
That
countries.
is true.
Like gummies. And I know there's a lot of people who eat that's banned in other countries. I saw that gummies, gummy worms, anything gummy. 25-year-old Mr. Producer looking at me with concern.
Don't eat that junk.
Don't eat it. Yeah, the FDA does that. Oh, also peppermint schnapps and hot chocolate, of course. That's the oldie but goodie. And why not? It's the most wonderful time of the year. Enjoy some inside activity with all of your friends who can walk over. Yeah, Robert George found out what I did by accident. Fireball and hot chocolate is so yummy. Love Fireball. Drink that a lot. That's Eric's medicine. I wish that would have worked for him to be here today as
I
well.
know. We
He
miss
is not
him.
here because of that. If you have any other ideas when it comes to battling the weather so you're not dealing with some kind of problem, let us know, especially with the pipes. Donna says warm water freezes faster than cold water. I heard that before, but I've never believed it.
Yeah, I drip cold water. I don't drip warm water. I just drip cold water. And when I do this to my faucets, I just do a drip, like where it drips, not like a stream, but just a little drip. And I will do it in one faucet in every bathroom. And that's that.
Okay, well, that works out.
But what people need to also be concerned with is, Ameren are really stepping up their efforts because they're expecting widespread power outages because of this storm. So think about that, folks, when you're preparing. Be prepared that you could potentially have a power outage.
Yeah, and Kevin says, does Eric have the brown bag flu? No, he had the brown bag flu yesterday. Today, he actually has a fever, which could have been started because of the brown bag flu yesterday, because if you defeat your immune systems with a bunch of alcohol.
I was saying, it looks like everyone's going to be drunk over the next 4
Yeah,
days.
and why not? And speaking of which, we've got about 30 minutes before we call a show on this podcast today. What do you want for Christmas regarding anything in the world? This could be funny. This could be serious. Jump in. Let's have some fun. Christmas is this weekend. It's just a few days away. What you would love to see. And, of course, I could start off for you, Tabitha, but I can only imagine all of Eric got COVID from the drag show. Eric was not at the drag show last night. We had other friends.
that we know of.
We had other friends who were at the drag show already. The drag show turned drug show. Yeah. Anyway, how about this? I'll start one off. All I want for Christmas, because we've been talking about it, is for America to stop giving so much money to other countries. That's what I want in my stocking.
That's so sweet of you.
Stop, not to those other countries, starting with Zelensky. We have given enough money, over $1 trillion in aid and equipment, that is going nowhere. So that's what I want for Christmas, for America to stop writing blank checks to the rest of the world when we have enough to take care of here at home. What do you want for Christmas, Tabitha?
I say screw this country and the Biden regime.
Oh, there's the holiday spirit gone.
And I just want to go to a tropical island somewhere and act like I know nothing about any of it.
Tabitha Hassel. ladies and gentlemen. John says all he wants is to defeat the omnibus.
Yes, no kidding.
Amy says, Santa, I would love a kitchen and mixer for Christmas. Okay, there you go. Take it where you
I
want.
have one, and I'll tell you what, Amy, it is well worth it.
What kind of mixer are you talking about?
A KitchenAid mixer.
What do you mix in your KitchenAid mixer? Anything?
Oh, well, I'm going to go home today and make a bazillion Christmas cookies in my KitchenAid mixer.
So what? So you put?
Well, it's a stand mixer. It has a big bowl.
Yeah. Oh, that mixer. Oh, I got
They're
you.
very expensive, and you throw all your junk
Yes,
in there,
yes,
and you
yes,
just press
yes,
the button,
yes.
and
I
it does
got
it
it.
all for you.
Okay, I got it. Glenn says he's asking Santa, or no, he didn't. He says more money was given to Ukraine in the last 3 months than was spent in 5 years in Afghanistan.
Absolutely true.
Holy crap. Think about that. More money in 3 months than what was spent in Afghanistan. I can't even process that. Jeannie, I want a country that doesn't hate. Well said. I think Santa should arrange a generator for us. Yeah. Danny, I want a hippocampus for Christmas. What's a hippocampus?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I
Wonder if that's a typo.
I was wondering
But
if I
it's
was
funny.
just stupid. I want Biden.
I think it's part of a brain.
Matthew Hicks says, I can dream. Biden, Harris, Pelosi, all unemployed now. Leslie says, what I want for Christmas is that no veterans were homeless. Sadly, that's not going to happen. And then think about all the money that's been sent across seas that could be used within these borders to build facilities for veterans and help them, because it would certainly be enough to take care of that, or at least jump in a lot. And yet that money is going to fight a war with no outcome, that really there's no strategic plan or outcome for the United States that's going to help this country.
I'm trying to look up what a hippocampus is.
I was getting ready to do that too.
What about our mystery producer? What do you want?
I want gift cards. I've been asking people for gift cards because there are things I want, but I'm very particular with what I want.
Very good.
Yeah.
And my kids are the same way. Drew says all he wants for Christmas is for Tabitha to be positive and quit being doomsday Tab.
All I want it for Christmas, now that I'm thinking about it,
Of
is
course.
for Drew to wake up. Drew, wake up. Wake up, Drew.
Margie says brain part, hippocampus.
That's what I said. I think it's part of a brain.
Yeah.
A hippopotamus, of course, fast behind text, the boss eyes. Okay, I get it. Lizzie, and these are running the gamut. These are emotional. These are funny. Lizzie says, all I want for Christmas is children without a family to have one. And that's well
Aw.
said as well, because it's easy for us to take things for granted.
You
in
are
life.
so right.
That's for sure,
so
especially
sweet.
families.
That's my favorite one so far.
I think I brought it up on this show to two guys that I recently met, asked about their families, and they're like, thank you for even asking or caring to ask, because this time of year is very difficult for my brother and I, because we don't have family left. All we do is we have each other. So,
I'm with you on that one. That's
or
hard.
you can be like other people and you have tons of families to go to and it drives you crazy and you don't appreciate until you don't have it anymore, because that can happen as well. Amy says, I love that, Lizzie. Matthew says, I also want liberals to wake the hell up, turn off the propaganda.
That's right.
Glue is throwing, or glue. Glenn,
Glue.
Glenn and Drew had a baby. They're glue. Glenn throwing a shot across it. Drew doesn't have a hippocampus.
I'm glad I was right about that. I thought it was a brain part, but I wasn't sure. So I
Oh,
had to look
no. Not going to happen till summer unless you go to Florida. Talking about the storms here. You're going to be dealing with that for a while. That's for sure.
it up. Yes.
If you're dealing with any family members, Shay says she wants a Trump DeSantis ticket for Christmas. That can't happen.
It's not possible under our Constitution, no.
It's not possible under our Constitution. We get it. A lot of people talking about it. They thought it would be great. Then you have to wait and see what would happen. Not possible under the Constitution right now. They could be advisors. They could learn to be friends. They could learn to work with each other. But it's not going to happen with them as friends together. If anybody else jumps in, remember, family members, I wanted to hear those stories too. I love the stories when it comes to politics at Christmas. I had a friend once where a family, a husband and wife left because they were so angry at another brother. I think it was the brother and the cousin who were telling them how silly they were after they brought up a political issue. The people who brought up the political issue were more liberal, and they ended up leaving the family get-together because of it.
That's wild.
25-year-old Mr. Producer looking at me like, what? Really? Yeah, that can happen.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
If anyone is alone for Christmas, you are welcome at our family Christmas. Gifts for all? Are you kidding me?
That's so sweet, Amy.
That is nice. And Amy's not a person that like drives the big van around and, hey, you want to get in my van? I got some candy
No,
for
no,
you.
no. Very
No,
sweet
no,
person.
that is, she's not trying to lure you in for anything else. Matthew Hicks says, because they are both Florida residents too, the president of the United States and the VP, of course, cannot
Correct.
come from the same state. Tabitha has talked about that before. That's why, Kurt, that's the Constitution that we're talking about. We appreciate people jumping in. We're trying to get to all of your comments right now in regards to what you have. Joyce talking about Trump and Carrie Lake being together. Carrie Lake, by the way, that trial is going on right now in regards to, was it fair? Was it not fair? The Democrats who are representing the certification of the election didn't even want this to be heard, said no, fought tooth and nail against it. The judge said, no, we're going to have this. So they started talking.
As they should. You shouldn't be able to certify your own election. That's
So
ridiculous.
that is currently going on. Carrie Lake, she's great Twitter material as well. Check out her Twitter. She'll keep you updated on some of the stuff that's happening there. Shay says, okay, well, if I can't have Trump and DeSantis, how about Trump and Jordan? Jim Jordan is who I'm assuming you're talking about. Drew says she will lose. PRL concert tickets for Christmas. That's all Timothy Harper wants. PRL, very popular band that Eric plays in, and some of our listeners love what they're hearing there. And once again, it is Cancel This Show. You can always go to cancelthisshow.com, cancelthisshow.com. Share the show. We're going to be continuing to elevate and move the show. We've dealt with a lot of sickness here. We were dealing with finding our feet. We are just getting ready to rock and roll as the new year starts as well. If you're just joining us, the party's next Thursday. Also, if you have story ideas, send them to us. We're getting to all of that. We appreciate you jumping in on social media, on YouTube, Apple, Rumble, Google, wherever you're listening. We'll be on Spotify as well. If you have show topics, let us know. We'll jump into those as well. We'll do the research. We're always trying to do what we can. Sasha says, all I want for Christmas is for the resident of the White House to announce he's retiring. I was waiting for that to happen, but we know that's not going to happen.
I would go further than that, but since I will try to have some Christmas spirit and not say it.
Why not Trump and DeSantis? Constitution related? Have I missed something? Yes, Tabitha, can you explain it one more time and we'll be done with it?
Yes. A vice president and a president cannot come from the same state. And Trump is now a Florida resident. Obviously, DeSantis is a Florida resident, so they cannot run together. You have to be in separate states.
And we kind of had to get to this. And I don't think it's that big of, all right, the U.S. life expectancy has now reached a 25-year low. That, according to the CDC, life expectancy for U.S. citizens born in 2021 now sits at 76.4 years. That's down from 2 years ago in 2019.
It's all that fireball.
No, well, from something. It could be from COVID as well. Life expectancy for people in the U.S. during 2021, we just at 76.4. It's the lowest on record since 1996.
I don't have an issue with that. Do we really want to live that long anyway?
Oh, my God. You just went there, didn't you?
That's it's a big debate that a lot of people talk about. It's not me just throwing that out
Yeah, but that
there.
only gives you about 18 years left, Tabitha.
Or less.
No, Tabitha.
But there's a
We
lot
need
of
you.
there's a lot of folks out there, and I'm just kidding when I throw that out there. But there is a big debate right now when people bring up these studies and they say, well, really, people shouldn't live this long. Because what happens is when you live to be over, let's say 75, 80 years old, while some people are in great health, it's also a time period when a lot of people really suffer from very serious health issues. It costs obviously a lot of money with insurances and healthcare It's a huge debate out there.
No, it is. It can happen, and we get it. Those were just some headlines we're trying to jump into. I promise you we will get into a story. We'll talk about the Catholic Church defrocked a priest, Father Pavoni, and he is a very, 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 very conservative priest who's done things by the book from the get-go. Not only has he called out those within the Catholic Church, but he's also called out Democratic leaders who are, quote, in bed with some of these bishops. And they're afraid to say anything about these Democratic bishops who have stuff over them and are preaching things that are not Catholic Church related, a la the Bidens of the world calling themselves Catholic, Pelosi's of the world calling themselves Catholic.
The Catholic Church has changed so much.
Kennedy calling himself Catholic, all these upper East Coast and far West Coast people, well, I'm Catholic. Well, you can call yourself Catholic, but if you're not following what the true faith teaches, you're not Catholic. Well, this priest has had the strength to call them all out. And he says that he's in a battle for the soul of the church, and he's calling out some of these bishops. And I've talked about it before. Former Archbishop Burke, who became a friend of mine, and I had some opportunities to talk to him privately about what's actually happening with the Conference of Catholic Bishops. Now, people may not want to talk about faith, but when you start to hear some of the ties that go straight into some Democratic leaders, it'll blow your mind. The battle for the church and using church as a weapon. Well, if the church says we can do this, or you have bishops who say this is right, and it happens in every faith, you just hear about it more in the Catholic Church. And it's because you have these Democrats claiming to be that, Pelosi, Kennedy, Biden, and then we see the actions showing something different than what the actual church teaches. We'll have a guest on that coming up next week as well, so I can't wait to get into that story, especially around the Christmas time, which will be interesting to see. So we're 4 weeks into the show, or at least now we've come into 4 weeks of the show. We've covered a ton of topics. We continue to bring up the topics. Tabitha continues to bring us all the latest headlines. Every day I talk to you about this, and I couldn't do it yesterday because I wasn't here. Tabitha, I'm putting you on the spot. If there was a topic or something that we have not covered that you think people need to look forward to or keep their eye on outside of the general media, outside of what we've talked about today, you send me about 30 things each day. I can guess.
And I read 100 more.
No, but it's seriously a final note for a Thursday as we get ready to call the show in about 15 minutes.
There's a very big topic we need to talk about. We don't have to talk about it today. We can get into
I'm asking for today.
Next week. Something that's a big topic on my mind is, and it's happening here in Missouri, and I'm hoping that our new attorney general will attack this issue. It's happening all across the country, but it's happening here in Missouri. And that is, we have big companies like, let's say, BlackRock. There's so many of them. And what they're doing is they're buying up all the homes in the state. And they're buying entire subdivisions. So right now, Vic, if you were to put, let's say, your house up for sale, these companies, it's a corporation, they're going to buy your home and they're going to rent it out. And what's happening in this country, and it's such a big deal because they don't want you to own a home. They don't want you to own land, they being the government. And what they're doing is they're sending these corporations out. They're heavily funded. They're giving them billions of dollars. And they're overbidding anyone that wants to buy a house. If you put your house up for sale, they are going to outbid the highest bidder because they don't want a person to buy it. They want their company to buy it, and then they're going to rent it out. So at some point, if this trend continues, all of our subdivisions are going to be nothing but rental properties. It's going to be very difficult for a person to buy a home. And I don't know if you've heard of this.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely heard about it. And I know about BlackRock as well.
It's a really big situation. I know it's happening right here in St. Charles County. It's happening all across the state of Missouri, all across the country. And if somebody doesn't start doing something about it, we're going to be in really big trouble because I'll tell you what these companies are doing. They're making a ton of money off of application fees because what they'll do is they'll put a house up for rent. They'll let it sit on the market for 6 months while they collect application fees for, $60, $100 a pop from each person who's going to live in the home, never with the idea of renting them. They make more money on rental application fees than they would make on the rent for the home. And so they let it sit on the market for a long time. They will eventually rent it out. And when they rent it out, the rates are completely jacked up. And it's going to change the entire landscape of home ownership.
Well, one of the companies that has joined forces with us, and you're going to be hearing a lot from her in the new year, but it's Kathy Helbig.
Of course, I know Kathy. I love Kathy.
She is the most experienced, educated realtor I have met in the St. Louis area. That doesn't mean, oh, nobody else is any good. That's not what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
But she has jumped on board. She is one of our sponsors, and she will be doing segments with us.
Love it.
Well, I can't wait to have them in studio to talk about that. Steve Strick will be talking mortgage as well.
Love Steve also.
It's interesting when you talk about that because they've talked about the same thing happening. And it's interesting when you're a realtor, and something else that people need to be thinking about for next year. I'm also told, get ready for a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot of remortgages.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being told expect that for 2023. Do your research, do your homework, look and see if it makes sense, and also have to see what's going on. I'm also not hearing that necessarily this is going to be a monster year for home sales,
It's going to be a tough time with these interest rates.
but 2024 could be massive. Now, you and I can talk about it. We're not the experts. We do study. We
I am
see what's
definitely
going
not an expert.
We do see what's going on, but we'll be talking with some of those issues, or talking about some of those issues with her and seeing what people do, because people love to talk realty. They love to talk houses, and of course, it affects all of us in one way or the other.
It's one of my favorite subjects because I'll tell you what, when people ask me, how can I build wealth? You know what I tell them? Buy a home. Buy a home, buy an investment property, continue to buy them. That's how my family made money. You continue to buy them because you know what? It's
You're a
always worth
financial
something.
advisor too now, aren't you?
I am not. Buy gold, silver, and property. There you go. That's my
How's your
financial advice.
how's your gold and silver doing? Because I heard gold was still, it wasn't as high as people wanted it to be.
Gold and silver will always be worth something. Now is the time to buy when the prices are
They're
low.
They're lower.
They will always be worth something. Always. So will cigarettes and ammunition.
And MREs.
MREs, I'm not so sure about that.
One other thing when it comes to the housing from this, as a 25-year-old mystery producer, what kind of education are you getting regarding housing? Because we have been told that people under 30 don't care about houses anymore. They'll live anywhere. Is that true?
I have no idea. I mean, I still live at home, and I'd like to live in an apartment one day. I don't know, working in the field I work in, if I'll ever be able to afford a house, but I can't afford an apartment right now. So,
And that's because
Well,
of
you're a
what
student.
yeah.
You're a student still.
Well, yeah, but
You're young. And
But
you're a
have you
student.
looked at prices of apartments?
yes.
And have you talked with other friends about, I mean, are those situations because it's so much to rent?
Yeah,
Because rental rates have
Yeah.
gone sky high.
Oh, yeah.
Leasing rates have gone sky high.
like $2,000 a month.
No question. You know what? When I first moved,
For apartment?
oh gosh, Vic,
Yeah.
What the hell do you get for $2,000 a
not
month?
much. Not much. When I first moved to St. Charles County, I can say it now because I don't live there anymore. I moved to those Trace apartments on Highway 94, and they're beautiful.
They were new and nice.
I was one of the first people that moved in at $2,000 a month for a little apartment. It's outrageous. But when these big companies come in and they're buying up all the homes and they're putting up all these big apartment complexes, at some point, if this continues, homeownership won't be a thing. You will have no choice but to rent. And you know what they do that? That's how communism works. That's all about communism. In a communist country like Poland, like Kasia Staki told us, you lease everything. You never own your home or your land. And that's what they want in this country. And that's what they're doing. And they're funding it with billions of dollars.
Does that scare you, producer?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Well, and I'm sure many people feel the same way as you do that are your age, right? So what do you talk about? Is there an answer? Do you feel like there's hope? Do you feel like a president change would change that? That's why I feel like a lot of people don't feel like there's an avenue for them to change or an avenue to make things different. It's like, okay, here's what we're getting this week or here's what we're getting this year.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel that way. I think it can change if we change the president, but
I hope
I
that
don't
it changes.
yeah.
Think about this. They want it to be easier for you to rent an apartment or
Who's
rent
they
a home.
again? You
They
mean-
being the government. The government wants it to be easier for you to rent a home or rent an apartment than to buy a house. They're raising the interest rates. And guess what? The American dream of home ownership has changed because now even you can own your home. You can own your home, pay off your home. You are still paying personal property taxes. You're still paying all of this money that almost equals insurances.
But it's an investment as well, as we've talked about.
It is, but it's these days it's cheaper for someone to rent an apartment or rent a home because you're not dealing with maintenance. You're not dealing with property taxes. You're not dealing with insurances. You're not dealing with any of these things. And we have to change that system.
Well, we've got several topics every day as we talk about on this show. We appreciate you joining us. We're going to call it a day. We're going to let you got to get home. I know your dad was worried about you getting on the roads. So
It's fine.
yeah.
She's like, don't say that on air, Vic.
No. He loves you, and I would get it too. Because snow is expected in the St. Louis area with some conditions. So we appreciate you joining us. And as we get ready to tie up the loose ends here, once again, our party next Thursday, Wenty's show sponsor, 7 p.m. Hope to see you. We'll continue to promote that and remind you. If somebody doesn't know, let them know. You've also got our show, canceltheshow.com. You can go to our website, check out our inventory of shows. We've got it there. We'll let you know whether we'll be live in studio tomorrow or not, pending the weather. If not, we'll pick a show to run, and then we'll decide where we go from there. We'll continue to keep you updated. We appreciate everybody jumping in, that's for sure.
I want to throw something in before we go. Folks, keep me updated. I don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow or not, but whatever you see out there, if you're seeing gas shortages, if you're seeing crazy weather conditions, let us know. Go to the Cancel This Facebook page or my personal Facebook page because I really want to hear you because next week that's something we can talk about.
100%. Also, go to YouTube, subscribe, share our show, continue to share the show. When you do, people continue to watch this throughout the day, throughout the night, throughout the weekend, next week, a week from now, from the content that we talk about and the information that we're studying and hearing and bringing people in as guests. We appreciate it when you do that. And stay healthy. If we don't come in tomorrow, Merry Christmas. We'll certainly see you soon. If you talk politics, do it politely. Do it politely. Do it politely. And with good cheer.
Or better yet, just stay home and stay warm and comfy.
Just go balls out. Have a drink and get in their face and go, here it is. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right, for Tabitha Hassel, Eric Johnson, who is home battling the flu, Scotty Yerkin, who's home battling the flu, for our mystery producer, maybe to be known sometime soon. I am Vic Faust. It's Cancel This. Thanks again for a month on the show already. Thanks for all the support. Have an awesome day. We'll see you next time for Cancel This.